What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay.
Of course it does.
Fade away, fade away.
I'm getting kicked out of a Facebook group right now for telling some lady she's part of the problem. They're talking about like, oh, Trump says he's going to, how did they put it?
Kill it anyway. Listen up,
He's going to honor the Fauci pardon.
we're never dropping.
Yeah, because he can't do shit about it. He can't do a damn thing about it, even if he wanted to, right? So now he's got to be like, well, I'm going to honor the pardon because he has no other option. And the lady's like, well, whatever you're seeing is a movie that's been in place for over 60 years, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And she's like, how about a little respect? I own this group. I said, you believe in a 60-year fairy tale. You are the problem. Keep wishing. Let's see if that got me the ban I wanted. I'm tired of fucking tiptoeing around these people. Eat a bag of dicks ought to get me kicked, huh? That was enough. Dicks. Eat a bag of I said eat a bag of dicks first, just to make sure you're not still hangry. That was it. Oh, that timer was way early. Start Facebook, pause the music. Oh, too late. All right, let me get Facebook going here. She said, judging by your above comments, you can either leave the group or I will kick you. And I said, before you kick me, eat a bag of dicks to make sure you're not just still hangry. Then I was kicked. There it is. Facebook, like, switch accounts. Share now. That should work. Gail Handlon, Gayle Handlon. I'm actually going to look that up. Hold on. Because I'm about to lose the ability to even see the notification anymore as soon as I refresh this page. Maybe she wants to talk about it in person. Who knows? I can be cordial. And her profile picture's a fucking bird. She calls her bird Mikachu. Like Pikachu, but Mikachu. And she has literally nothing on her page. Sounds about right. Friend request sent. All right, here we go. Roll the intro.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Here's who we're dealing with: Gail Handlon. Gail Handlon seems to be an avid aviator. Avian enjoyer. Where was I going with aviator? Avian enjoyer. A bird watcher. She calls her bird. I'm assuming she put her name, and then in parentheses it says Mikachu. So I'm assuming that's like a play on the words for like Pikachu, because her bird has like it's yellow with like red dots on its cheeks, maybe. But she literally has nothing that you can see from the public facing part of her Facebook. It just says female. About, female. Friends, none. Check-ins, none. Photos, none. Reviews? Has she ever reviewed anything? Nope. No reviews. Events? Nope. She's a ghost. She's a ghost. I guess that's what happens sometimes. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Will Bart, this is Cold Beer Confessional. Welcome. Oh, Jessa, I did watch. There's a show on Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, then you get Prime Video. And there's a show on Amazon Prime right now called, Jessa told me about it. It's called Murder 101. And it's about it's not my high school, but a local high school over in Elizabethton, actually where Jason Witten went to high school. And they have a sociology class that since 2018 has been working on solving a serial killer set of murders. Like, it's a pretty cool series. It's like a mini series. They've been working trying to solve who the red-headed killer was. Like, it was a bunch of these young red-headed girls that were killed on the side of the interstate. It's been a pretty good series. Also, I feel like my face still looks like shit. I got some dead skin. I got my body's all marked up and shitty. You can't see it as bad as the tattoo, but this arm's pretty bad. But I feel better, a little bit better. So hopefully the steroids are working. I've been taking them as prescribed. Maybe we'll pull through this. My eye was not nearly as bad as it was like the last 2 days when I woke up, like trying to swell. It's still swollen and puffy, and I can tell because typically I can see my cheek, but it's like your nose. You know, you block out your nose, right? You never notice your nose. But if there's like a bump on your nose, suddenly you see it all the time. Well, that's the way like underneath my eyes were. My eyelid was so swollen up that I could see it all the fucking time, and it was bothering me. Well, that's about gone. It's still there a little bit, but not nearly as bad as it was. So hopefully that shit works. And I still got my pound of cream. So that's what we're dealing with currently. I did go work a little bit today, but I didn't get a whole lot done. We got flooding going on, actually. Let me see. It's not on my end of town this time. Surprisingly, it wasn't even raining on my end of town. I'm sure some people put some pictures out. They had a big mudslide. 3 p.m. today, flash flooding came out of Unicoi, fell over Johnson City, Tennessee. It didn't even rain like it drizzled for a little bit. And then it would, like, you'd feel like 4 or 5 drops and it would stop. But on the south end of town, they had a mudslide. They had the roads closed. This tractor and trailer got stuck on a railroad crossing that says no 18-wheelers, literally. Caution, no 18-wheelers. It's stuck there, of course. They always try to go around that way when the main drag is closed. There it is, stuck. This is super steep on both sides. Like, there's no way an 18-wheeler is getting across this. But they try it probably 2 or 3 times a year. Here we go. This is a store, like a Western store. on the way in between Irwin, and in between Unicoi and Johnson City. It's called Wiseman's. There's actually a bunch of apartments back here, a house, and a rock quarry behind it. Like the back of this building is another building that's all apartments. And the creek is actually on the right-hand side over here, like on the side of the image that I'm on. The creek come out of the bank and flooded the whole parking lot out, had this whole road closed. Plus, they had a pretty decent mudslide that they were able to clear up. There's the creek. They were able to clear up, but it was bad for a little bit. My sister lives out, my oldest sister, not the one that lives in Kentucky, obviously. There's the mudslide. It looks like they've already cleaned it up, but this whole chunk just fell off and kind of landed in the road. This guy that posted this, Jim Irwin, is our emergency response guy. EMT, emergency response. There's a wrecker coming to get that fucking tractor and trailer. I don't know why they try multiple times a year. Like, it's not, it'd be different if like it was this one story about this one time that this one thing happened, but they try over and over and over and over again. There's really no audio of this video. It's a truck running, but you can hear it if you want. That's usually like a creek. That creek that's usually there is, I swear, the deepest part of it is probably 2 foot deep. Like, it's got a deep bank, right? But like, it's a creek that like kids play in all the time. It's not, you can't get swept away in it. You can't fucking go under in it. Like, if you're 7, 8 years old, it'd be hard pressed to even drown in this creek. You normally, but it flooded. I grew up, my grandparents, down up the road a little ways and then back off the road maybe about a mile. My grandparents had a house there, and we would watch down this creek and catch crawdads. But like I said, it's not a very big creek. I guess it don't matter if you get enough rain, huh? Rainbow trout spawning is ramping up. The fuck are they? Is that eggs? Oh, that's the money shot right there. Look at that. Hell yeah. I didn't know he was getting free fucking animal porn. Hell yeah. He's getting that one warmed up. This one's already let go. No wonder Bort's celibates. Anyways, we had flooding today. My sister's safe and fine. Like, she sent me some pictures of like her backyard, I guess. But it was like down the hill from her house. It wasn't bad. And my other sister's safe in Kentucky, so that's all I was really worried about. It's nowhere near as bad as like we had during Helene, but still, yeah. It is technically flooding. Let me see. Did she send? Okay, never mind. All right, I gotta find a video quickly. Give me just a second. Have you guys heard that new song by Felix Flexen that everybody says is AI, and they're denying it's AI? I don't know. It's called Rubber Bands. It's supposed to be the new song of the summer, but then people are trying to cancel it, saying it's AI. All right, there's the video I wanted. All right, I got some videos. I like it. It's got like, it's a rapper, and he's talking about modern things, but it's got like an 80s like synth vibe to it. I don't know. It's catchy for sure. But people are trying to cancel it, calling it AI, so who knows? Here we go.
Apparently, we're a propaganda page now. We got a couple comments saying that we manipulated Bobby Williams' answer by editing the video. So instead of going back and forth in the comments, here is the full interview, raw and unedited.
Would you support maternity leave, paid maternity leave for mothers?
Would you support paid maternity leave for mothers? Now, most places have some form of maternity leave, paid or unpaid. But the question is, should we just make it a law across the board, right? You get pregnant, you have your child, you get this much time off, you get paid just like sick time getting paid. It's a pretty good policy, right? And it probably provides better bonds between mothers and child. It's less of a decision about whether you come back or not, right? Because you have time whatever time you need to spend with your baby. It probably provides better outcomes for children, which they claim they're always trying to protect. But of course, the answer is
no, ma'am.
Why do you say that?
Well, it's so when we start supporting stuff, when does it end? You know what I'm saying? Corporations can put that, but I don't know how that goes. But, we live in a generation that's got to work. We keep giving and giving and giving and giving. It comes to a point, when's enough enough? I understand. Every situation is different. And you can't, it's back to, we don't live in a socialist country, so you can't just give.
What if he told you his evidence was he knows plenty of hard-working women who have babies and come to work the next day?
To one individual, it's an economic status. We live in a capitalist country, we got to quit being socialist. So there's some people out there that are wealthy that can do that. But I know many, 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 many women.
Yeah, the wealthy people, they don't have to work, so they can just stay home with their kids, right? But the working people, like, have your baby, be back at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're lucky I gave you the delivery day.
We got to quit being socialist. So there's some people out there that are wealthy that can do that. But I know many, 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 many women who have a baby and go to work next day, because they got to pay bills, So you run that socialism kind of stuff. And
how many women you think he actually knows that have a baby and go to work the very next day? Most hospitals won't even release you within a day, right? They got to get you feeding. They got to get you healed. They got to fucking weigh the baby. And if it loses weight, then they got to do this. They got to do that. We were there for like a week and a half with Liam because he lost weight at first, and we had to put weight back on him. And it was crazy. But there's the next day, you're just lying. This isn't like when my mom was young, like she was delivering her siblings at home. This isn't then, right? No one's doing this. You're fucking lying.
Yes, some people out there that are wealthy that can do that, but I know many, 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 many women who have a baby.
Four minis. Many, 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 many. Even if every mini was just one person, which it implies that it's more than that, right? But even if that means he knows 4 women that had a baby and went to work the very next day.
Work next day, because they got to pay bills, so.
Yeah, this motherfucker's running for governor of Florida.
You run that socialism kind of stuff, and, yes, we need to spend time with our kids, but obviously you work to get out of poverty, and you got to make that difference. It's sacrifice, and we have to have sacrifice in life, Christians, you learn to sacrifice. You crucify your flesh, right, to live in that spiritual realm, so I believe that it ain't something we should give. But now, maybe a day or two or something like that, but full maternity leave and that kind of stuff, it's back to fruit. I see too many women who can do it. I think today I
see too many women who can do it. Because they're at a point to where missing one day of work would literally have financial disaster. So I see them do it. That means everybody can do it.
Created a lazy generation to where.
That was his excuse, by the way. He didn't say, I see many women do it because they're proud of their work or because their work's intricate or because they don't want to miss a day or because they really care about their career more than they care about their kid or whatever. He said, because they got bills to pay. I see them have their baby, go back to work the very next day because they got bills to pay.
What's next? Maternity leave, or you see sick pay right now, and you see that, and you see people take advantage of it. So my thing is enough's enough of just charity and giving out. And I'm a charitable person. I'm obviously run a ministry that helps people. But there's a difference in enabling and then creating a socialist country.
Apparently, we're a propaganda page now. We got a couple comments saying that we manipulated Bobby Williams' answer by editing the video. So
here's a poll from. When was this taken? April 2nd. Margin of error is plus or minus 4.1 to 4.7 for all Republican primary voters. It says 600 people randomized across the state. Thinking about the Republican primary governor, if the Republican primary election for governor was today and you had to make a choice for whom you'd vote for, you got Charles Burkett, Jay Collins, Byron Donalds, James Fishback, Paul Renner, or Bobby Williams. Bobby Williams is the one we just saw. Bobby Williams ended up with 4% in January, 3% in April. It seems like Byron Donalds is the real front runner in that race, but still, the fact that you think you can even bring these views to this type of race and pretend like you stand a chance at all. Like, what the fuck is this, dude? Of course. Of course. Like, I understand if you're a small business and have like fucking one employee and shit, the government's going to have to step in or something to help with that. Or say, you know, you don't have to do it unless you have this many employees, which is the stance we take with a lot of employee policies, right? If you're under 10, if you're under 20, if you're under 500 employees, they treat you differently. But corporations, of course, there should be paid maternity leave. What the fuck are you talking about? Here's the one. Here's another one.
Would you support paid maternity leave?
I would. In fact, I'm the person who pioneered it on this campaign, that if you give birth on Friday night, you should not be expected to go back to work on Monday morning. Our moms and their newborn babies.
Oh, shit. I clicked off something. I'm an idiot.
Would you support paid maternity leave?
I would. In fact, I'm the person who pioneered it on this campaign, that if you give birth on Friday night, you should not be expected to go back to work on Monday morning. Our moms and their newborn babies deserve better. Florida will institute paid maternity leave for every working mom when I am governor.
Would you support paid maternity?
So the top comment here, it says, see, I've been trying to tell everyone that he's a Democrat in disguise. Someone said, no, he's not, Lamau. And he says, this video right here proves it. If you don't see it, then you are a libtard too. Someone says, social services aren't a left-only policy. You're a fucking joke, bud. Why is paid maternity leave a bad libtard thing? Because it's not in the Constitution. It's an entitlement. It will cost women jobs. Are you telling me that when employees go to hire someone, they're going to say, no, don't hire a woman. What if she gets married and pregnant in the next 5 years? It is an entitlement. It's an entitlement I think they should deserve, at least for the women. Like, I know some countries give it for the dads too. I think that would be a hard policy to get past here, but still, at least for the mothers. Holy fuck.
Would you support paid maternity leave for mothers?
No, ma'am.
Why do you say that?
Okay, this is the one they claimed that they edited.
So when we start supporting stuff, when does it end? We live in a generation that's got to work. You know, we keep giving and giving and giving and giving. It comes to a point, when's enough? Every situation is different. We don't live in a socialist country. It's an economic status. We live in a capitalist country, you know. We got to quit being socialist. So yes, we need to spend time.
By the way, that was a Politico poll I read earlier. I didn't give you guys a source.
With our kids, but obviously you work to get out of poverty.
It doesn't seem like he's a serious candidate, like, oh no, this guy might win right now. But the fact that he can even stand up there with those other people and have this viewpoint and think that it's acceptable is fucking wild.
Sacrifice. You have to have sacrifice in life. Christians, you know, you
I think Dad should get it too. I just think that's a hard ask for a place that won't even implement mother's maternity leave, right, instead of paternity leave. I think it's a hard ask to be like, okay, we're gonna give mom and dads. Maybe we get mothers doing it, and then in a few years we try to push through for fathers as well.
learn to sacrifice. You crucify your flesh, right, to live in that spiritual realm. I see too many people, women, who can do it. I think today we've created a lazy generation.
That's awesome. I mean, that's good for you. That's good.
Take advantage of it. My thing is enough's enough of just charity and giving out. And I'm a charitable person, you know. I'm obviously run a ministry that helps people. But there's a difference in
sounds like it.
And then creating.
Obviously, I run a ministry that helps people. I don't think it was edited, but whatever.
Can you give me your best Trump impression?
Well, this is a beautiful night. We came here today to see the lovely James Fishback, isn't he? He's just a big, strong, handsome guy, beautiful guy. I love him. He's great. That's who you got to vote for, Florida, right? That's my home state. I live in Palm Beach, and you got Palm Beach Pete. He's a great guy as well. You should check him out. He's running for mayor. But wow, Fishback. I mean, he's just got so much aura.
Fishback was the guy that said yes about the maternity leave, by the way.
He mocks his competition to death. I'll kiss every guy and woman here tonight. Look, I'll kiss him. Isn't he great? I won't exactly have much pleasure doing it, but I'll do it. Vote for Fishback. That's all I got to say. Just do it. Just do it. You won't regret it.
Can you give me your best Trump?
That's pretty good for a guy on the street.
Are Are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I am definitely pro-life. God puts certain people in your life. If a baby is born by a pregnancy that's not planned, God has a plan for that life. It might not be in the mother's plan.
Yeah, it's going to be a horrible, shitty plan in a lot of cases, right? They're going to be drug addicts, living on the street, fucking homeless, living in a goddamn car, starving. Like, yeah, that's an awesome plan God put in place. Fuck God's plan.
Might not be in the Father's plan, but it's in God's plan, and that's important. So trust God.
Are you pro-choice or pro?
I've been telling everybody Fishback's a Democrat.
For James Fishback, why is that?
Because he is the first of a new generation of politicians that is going to eventually become the face of American first politics. His family first approach, like the paid maternity leave, that's what our generation wants. That's what everyone my age and my demographic wants. That's what every other generation has neglected to hand down to us. So really, I think he's a transformative figure.
I see that you support James Fishback. Why is that?
Because he is the first.
Sounds like he's got a young vote, but it's also the America First vote.
A new generation of politicians that is going to eventually become the face of American first politics. His family first approach, like the paid maternity.
Over the past 20 years,
Sorry, I've just never seen this channel. I'm checking on it.
do you think that Florida has changed for the better or for the worse?
As of right now, I think it's been for the...
Ooh, I don't know if I like that. Like, I like Cletus. I don't know if I like him having politicians on his channel.
worst. I can't buy a...
I mean, he's kind of a retard. Like, I don't care for his take at all. You know what I don't know. I don't know if I like that.
I would agree. Too many people coming here. The prices have increased way too much. I'm born and raised from here. In some situations, I think it's unattainable for a young adult, male or female, to grow up and to thrive in this economy and this state.
We need a new governor or something to happen.
Over the past...
Is DeSantis just done? He's out?
Let's talk about the Holocaust. Do you believe the Holocaust happened?
Do I believe that the German government killed innocent Jews? Yes.
Do you believe that, I mean, the number that's always cited is 6 million people. Do you believe 6 million people died in the Holocaust?
So, I'll tell you the truth, I've spent more of my time thinking about the history of Florida, the history of our state, how we can make that great.
Good way to sidestep that.
I haven't spent a lot of time studying Holocaust history. I know
he's term limited out.
And told one thing only to have it debunked later. What I can unequivocally tell you is that the genocide of Jews by the German government was a tragedy. It should never happen again. I'm not sure why we are talking about the Holocaust in 2026, to tell you the truth. I don't think we should crack down on legitimate speech. I think we should absolutely condemn any form of religious hatred, including against Jews. But there always has to be...
So isn't that a good thing then, that we talk about the Holocaust? If we want to ensure that these things don't happen again and we want to keep, religious
But when we
hatred.
talk about the Holocaust in the context of having a debate about Israel or Benjamin Netanyahu or AIPAC, why would that be relevant?
I think it's relevant because it's all within the context of Israel defending.
Tennessee, you can only serve 2 consecutive terms, but after that, you just have to set out and then you can run again.
Itself, right? And Jewish people defending themselves, which is what they claim the war is about, right? Is about defense.
Oh, that's what Jess...
offense for defense. And it's about ensuring that there isn't another Holocaust and that they don't get wiped out again, right? Or almost wiped out.
So this war doesn't appear that is in fact the case when upwards of 80,000 civilians rather, have been killed at the hands of the Israeli government in Gaza. We have to have a real conversation about what is happening in the Middle East. There's this often question, does Israel have a right to?
I do think it's kind of weird. Like, first of all, I don't think people should be denying the Holocaust or saying, having to sidestep the question. I also think it's kind of weird, like, he's going to be the governor of Florida. Who gives a fuck what he thinks about Israel? He shouldn't be doing deals with Israel. He shouldn't be fucking talking about Israel. He should be talking about Florida.
Exist. No country has a right to exist. People are endowed with the right to exist through self-defense, through self-determination. I don't believe that the Israeli government has a permanent right to exist regardless of electoral outcomes, geopolitical considerations, the will of the people. But Jewish people anywhere in the world, but especially in the United States of America, absolutely have a right to exist.
Good morning.
My name is James Fishback, a Republican candidate for Florida governor. I'm speaking to you not
Secret Democrat
candidate, but as a fellow Floridian.
Oh, I saw this earlier. I meant to show this on the show, actually.
And a proud American. A whistleblower came to my campaign recently with direct, disturbing.
I don't care how many Jewish people live there. Like, I still don't think we should give a fuck what he thinks about Israel if all Jewish people live there.
Evidence about a previously unreported felony crime committed by Byron Donalds. Not Byron Donalds, my opponent. Byron Donalds, the United States Congressman. My legal team.
So he basically comes out and says that he knows that Byron Donalds committed a felony. He has evidence that either Byron Donalds comes out and tells people the felony he committed, or he will on Thursday.
Has now fully vetted and verified this evidence. It is incontrovertible and it is damning. I will be holding a press conference in my personal capacity as a proud Republican, resident of Florida, and American citizen to share this evidence with the public. Congressman,
I'm going to take some steroids if you guys don't mind.
To you for a moment, if I may. You and I both know what you did.
Taking some gear.
Just be honest. And if you come to the public and share the full extent of your criminal history, I will cancel
Day 2 down the hatch.
Conference. I believe it's better for them to hear it from you than from me. But if you don't, I will travel to Tallahassee on Thursday, present this evidence, and let the public.
Like, I understand about like weeding out like anti-Semitic people, like are truly anti-Semitic, that like hate Jewish people or Holocaust deniers, even shit like that. But as far as like, well, what would your stance be on Israel? Like, who gives a fuck? What's your stance on Florida, dude? Israel's not come over here to negotiate shit, right? And it's weird that like DeSantis and these other governors sign like these fucking allegiant pledges to always hold Israel as the true nation of the Jewish people with a right to exist. And no other country makes us sign a fucking pledge. Like, what the fuck is going on? Or they'll do things where they sign agreements that like 20% of all their states' trade is going to go with Israel. And you're like, what the fuck? That's weird.
Decide. On matters this urgent, this important, this piercing, I look to the leadership of Governor DeSantis, and that sunshine is always the best disinfectant. Good morning. My name is James Fish.
We'll look up some more. Let me show you something. Did she already delete it? Marsha Blackburn literally got ratioed on her own post. She posted a picture of the women in the suits from The Handmaid's Tale. Okay? Red suits, big white hat thing. And the only comment she put on it was, I didn't vote for this. And people are like, whoa now. You didn't vote for this? Wait a second. You didn't vote for this? Who did? Because it seems like you voted for this. The comments were unforgiving. It was Nancy Mace. Never mind. That's even worse than Marsha Blackburn. Marsha Blackburn did something else. It was Nancy Mace. I didn't vote for this. I got Marsha Blackburn confused with the data center video we're gonna watch next, but whatever. I didn't vote for this. Here are the comments. Yes, Nancy. Yes, you did, and do. Then some dumb bitch says, "Are those lampshades on their heads?" And someone says, "You've never seen a Handmaid's Tale." And someone says, "Bless your heart, I can't believe you would say this on Al Gore's internet. It would appear you did. What's that saying? Denial in just a river in Egypt? Yes, you did. You still do. But you sure as hell carry the water to get us there." Nancy Mace, of all people. Pretty wild, right? All right, let's talk about Marsha Blackburn now. This is her cell phone. This is where she struggled.
Hi there, it's Marsha Blackburn. Let me be direct. Data centers are going to be a good and important part of Tennessee's economic growth. This is where I fill up.
As much backlash as data centers are getting right now, she comes out and is like, data centers are going to be a good part of Tennessee's growth. Really? I know why data centers want to be in Tennessee, because we have really cheap electricity if they're ever going to have to pay for it.
Hi there, it's Marsha Blackburn. Let me be direct. Data centers are going to be a good and important part of Tennessee's economic growth. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah, and this is what's in all.
This is literally an ad put together from her competitor.
Because the more energy that's consumed by these data centers, the higher utility rates are going to go. Your electricity bill will increase if you have data
centers. Yeah.
Nothing that you can do.
She almost had me saying it.
With the Tennessee River behind me and the Clinch River to my left, it's important that we preserve.
Now, this is Monty Fritz. He's a fucking lunatic, too. He's the one that says that that the government should do everything in their power to ban every religion but his religion.
This for mamas and their children and daddies and their sons to fish and enjoy, because this is part of Tennessee's heritage and it's worth fighting for. And I intend to fight to preserve that as your governor. Vote Fritz on August 6th.
You want to see who's running against Marsha Blackburn?
Hi there, it's Marsha Blackburn. Let me be direct. Data centers are going to be a good and important part of Tennessee's economic growth. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah, and this is what's in all the pipes.
Because the more energy that's consumed by these data centers, the higher.
These people are insane, dude.
Your electricity bill will increase if you have data centers nearby.
There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
With the Tennessee River behind me and the Clinch River to my left, it's important that we preserve this for mamas and their children and daddies and their sons to fish and enjoy, because this is part of Tennessee's heritage and it's worth fighting for. And I intend to fight to preserve that as your governor. Vote Fritz on August 6th.
Fritz is crazy as too. Monty Fritz. Data centers are good, and they're coming for Tennessee to help us grow. You want to know how tough? She's also the dumb bitch. Well, you need to watch that. Hold on. Before we do Monty Fritz. She put this ad together and thought it would be good. Just watch it.
How hard am I gonna crack down on China? Well,
she doesn't even, she missed the script. How hard am I gonna crack down on China? Like she fucks up the first fucking line. They still put this out there with an ad budget behind it to push it to potential voters.
How hard am I gonna crack down on China? Well, here's a clue.
When I first saw this, I had it playing in the background, like I was scrolling and typing something out, and I thought for sure it was an SNL version of like making fun of Marsha Blackburn. 100%.
How hard am I gonna crack down on China?
I swear on my life.
That's a clue.
I thought it was a skit.
Marsha Blackburn worked with President Trump.
She crushes fortune cookies and throws them on this poor table. of a Chinese restaurant she's in. Fortune cookies aren't Chinese, but
to take on communist China. As governor, Marshall will fight to protect Tennessee land from Chinese front companies, close loopholes, and hunt down every communist who tries to defy us.
It doesn't take a fortune cookie to figure it out. Here in Tennessee, we're going to stop communist China and protect Tennessee land. How hard am I gonna crack down on China?
they're fucking lunatics, dude. Like, what is happening?
Blackburn worked with President Trump to take on communist China. As governor, Marshall will fight to protect Tennessee land from Chinese front companies, close loopholes, and hunt down every communist who tries to defy us.
It doesn't take.
By the way, this isn't even happening. China is not coming to Tennessee to buy up all our land and force you to eat fortune cookies or whatever. It's not happening. Just so we're all aware, it's not a real thing that's happening in Tennessee or anywhere else. Sorry, I'm rearranging some videos. Give me just a second. All the candidates are fucking psychopaths, dude. Every fucking one of them.
That you are not a fan of religious liberty, that you're okay with church bells, but you would outlaw Muslim calls to prayer.
Yes, sir.
Would you outlaw the practice of Islam in general? Would you outlaw building a mosque?
I would like to. And here's why, and I know that's going to shock some people to hear that. Islam is not a religion. Islam's a political movement. And Islam is something, we've allowed an Islamization in America that we're going to pay for if we're not careful. I know that's going to shock some of your listeners to hear that, and I don't offer it for shock. But it is not a movement of seeking God in what many of us have viewed in other lands and have seen it. And just by the writings, it is not that. I don't want to see the state of Tennessee, and I'm not picking on just Islam. I would offer that for Buddhism or Hinduism or many of these other pagan religions.
I'm not just picking on Islam. Buddhism, Hinduism, any of these pagan religions. So not his flavor of Christianity, banned.
I would like to see them not exist in the United States of America. I would like to see that everyone would refer to Christ as King. That would be my goal.
And you would use the law to eliminate religions that don't do that?
I think the first thing that we Christians have to do is be salt and light. I think that once the lost man hears the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ, it brings them to a decision. They either repent and become saved, or they choose to live in lostness. And often, I think the reason that we have those things in our Constitution that talks about, someone who denies the existence of God or a final state of things, perhaps they're not mentally conditioned to be able to understand how to lead and serve the people. So I think that certainly applies.
So you would use the law to?
I hate this white nationalist Christian. I mean, I know it's been influenced for a long time, and I don't want God to tell you how to vote. I don't want you to consult God. I want you to consult your constituents. I want you to listen to the people that fucking either voted for you or didn't vote for you. You represent them all now. I don't want to know what you and God think about the law.
Outlaw religions that don't say Christ is King?
I think that all Christians should have that as an end goal. Again, back to what I answered first.
Not only does he believe in outlawing it, all Christians should have that goal. To make this a Christian nation again, they claim.
I'm not going to force anybody to bow the knee to Christ. That's going to come one day after all. I think we should establish conditions that allow for that. I think that if we allow a political movement to come in who's...
For conditions that allow for what? We should force conditions that allow for that. For every person to bow before his God, his version of God.
Whose end goal is not your good, but it is to oppress and overtake what was founded as a Christian nation. I think
I'm gonna have to run for office. I think, I'm gonna have to run for office, not to win, just to meme the fuck out of these people and get some goddamn attention on these lunatics, dude.
That my children and grandchildren.
run as a joke just to fucking expose everybody in their hypocrisy.
And your children and grandchildren will suffer for it. I'm going to take a different view on that.
And I will tell you, I know people who are Muslim, and
I have friends who are Muslim.
absolutely reject any notion that Islam is not a religion.
I have friends that are cultural Muslim, and I have friends overseas that are cultural Muslim, who I'd love to see again. But I think the movement itself is not a religion.
So by your logic, if you would outlaw building mosques and outlaw Muslim calls to prayer, outlaw Buddhism, you would also outlaw Judaism, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, no. They go hand in hand. Judaism. No. I fucking love AIPAC.
So what's the difference?
Yeah, I should not win. I'm not qualified. I'm probably smart enough, but I don't have a resume. Like, I'm not good with people. Like, I should not win. I think that should be my platform. But I just want to bring viral-like attention to these fucking lunatics and be like, this guy wants to ban all religions, right? What's for him to say that even if you're a Christian, what if his version of Christianity is not the same as your version of Christianity?
They do not say Christ is king.
Some do. There are lots of Messianic Jews.
I'm not talking about Messianic Jews. I'm talking about people who practice Judaism.
Yeah, I think there are lots of people who go to, I'm a Southern Baptist. There are lots of people who go to Southern Baptist churches who've not made Christ king over their life that are also in danger of hellfire. So I think to try to split the hair to get to...
Wouldn't that be the same thing, though? That everybody needs to hear that, according to you, even the Muslims might one day convert. Who are you to fucking step in and end their religion?
Get me to say that. I'm not...
That you are not a fan of...
Like, they're all fucking lunatics, dude. They're all fucking There's a house about 4 houses down from mine that's got a fucking Monty Fritz sign.
I think that those doctors in Planned Parenthood clinics that have murdered hundreds of babies should be under the full exercise of law for the murders they've committed under Tennessee law.
He thinks that doctors that perform life-saving care and health care and abortions, doesn't matter if it's by the scalpel or the pill, he'll say that in a minute, even Plan B pills, they should face murder charges for every abortion they participated in.
If you commit murder, there is an opportunity for a death penalty, right? And so if you provide equal protection under the law for that unborn, there would be an opportunity for that. Doesn't mean that every doctor, doesn't mean that every dad or mom would be the recipient of capital punishment, but they would be accountable.
It doesn't mean that they'll get the death penalty, but they'll probably go to jail.
It's been reported that you would support the death penalty for women who obtain an abortion.
Well,
now, is that true?
That's I supported House Bill 570, which is equal protection under the law for the unborn. I will tell you, I think that those doctors in Planned Parenthood clinics that have murdered hundreds of babies should be under the full exercise of law for the murders they've committed. I think that applies to the folks that...
This is like mainstream. He's like right behind Marsha Blackburn. He's in second place, dude.
Commit those murders by pill or by scalpel. I think for not just the mother but the dad, there should be responsibility. I think if indeed we believe that life begins at conception, and I do, our Tennessee Republican Party guiding principles assert that, then don't we have a right to protect that child from conception on from murderous acts? And I think the case is yes. There's a consequence for speeding, there's a consequence for stealing, and there's a consequence for murder. And under Tennessee law, if you commit murder, there is an opportunity for a death penalty, right? And so if you provide equal protection under the law for that unborn, there would be an opportunity for that. Doesn't mean that every doctor, doesn't mean that every dad or mom would be the recipient of capital punishment, but they would be accountable. I think that those doctors in Planned Parenthood clinics that have murdered hundreds of babies should be under the full exercise of law for the murders they've committed. Under Tennessee law, if you commit murder, there is an opportunity for a death penalty, right? And so if you provide equal protection under the law for that unborn, there would be an opportunity for that. Doesn't mean that every doctor, doesn't mean that every dad or mom would be the recipient of capital punishment, but they would be accountable.
It's been reported that you would support the death penalty for women who obtain an abortion.
Well,
now, is that true?
That's fucking insane, right?
I supported House Bill 570, which is...
You want to ban mosques.
Yes.
You have said we have...
This is him in a different interview saying the same thing.
Ban mosques.
Yes.
You just mentioned the Constitution.
Yes.
So how is banning mosques constitutional?
Yeah, so as a Christian, I think that there is no answer other than that, right? Because I think Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh to the Father except by him.
Imagine being a politician who is literally running on Christianity leading the way, and then claiming that another religion is a political movement and needs to be banned. Do you get the irony? Like, He's like, God leads me. I'm a Christian. Everybody should be Christian, and that's the religion I want everybody to be. All other religions should be banned. But why would you ban Muslims and mosques? Oh, because they're a political movement.
What Christ said. Scripture also tells us that you must confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead to be saved. So as a Christian, how can I have any other perspective? Is it okay for a few people to be lost and go to hell? I don't think so. I think God tells us.
Should the state be involved in
well, let me finish that. I think it is to some extent already. Islam is not simply a religious movement. It is a political movement that forces its strategy upon everyone.
In the other interview, he said it wasn't even a religion.
It is counter to the Constitution, Islam is, I think.
The counter to that would be, okay, let's say a Methodist becomes governor and thinks Baptists are not fully Christian. It's a slippery slope.
Well, I don't think so if you look at
or Catholics or Latter-day Saints or what the fuck ever. It doesn't matter, right?
Article 1, Section 3 of our Tennessee Constitution clearly, because it refers to Almighty God. Both the Methodist and the Baptist have that same worldview that Christ died for us. And again, neither the Methodist nor the Baptist are really a political movement as Islam is. And so I think that's the great separation.
They're not political movements like I'm a political movement currently.
Doctors in Planned Parenthood.
Oh shit, I scrolled.
Becomes governor and thinks Baptists are not fully Christian. It's a slippery slope.
Well, I don't think so if you look at Article 1, Section 3 of our Tennessee Constitution clearly, because it refers to Almighty God. Both the Methodist and the Baptist have that same worldview that Christ died for us. And again, neither the Methodist nor the Baptist are really a political movement as Islam is. And so I think that's the great separator. I know that comment has created so much consternation for folks, and I can just assure you, it doesn't matter to me about eye color, skin color, what continent you originally came from. I want you to go to heaven, and Christ is the only way to get there.
You want to ban mosques.
Yes.
You have said we have a Muslim problem in Tennessee.
That you are not a fan of religious liberty, that you're okay with church bells. But let me ask you about this notion of the U.S. being a distinctly Christian nation. You know, the founders put so much work into excruciating detail in the U.S. Constitution, and yet they never put in the words Jesus. They never put in the word Christ. They never put in Christianity. They did think it was important to include a no religious test clause in the Constitution. There were people who wanted to have amendments to add Christ and Christianity into the Constitution, and those...
You know, early Christians didn't actually believe that Jesus is part of the Trinity or the Son of God. They just believed he was another prophet, kind of the way that Muslims believe he is now, or even a lot of Jewish people.
Were defeated. Given that history, how do you come across the notion...
They didn't make him this immortal God figure until years and years and years after his death.
We are meant to be a distinctly Christian nation.
He would have been like a Moses or an Abraham, or like definitely a big, large leading character, but not the Son of God.
I think from the writings of the founders, I think from 1620 forward and on up to those men who both signed the Declaration of Independence and then authored the Constitution of these United States and the state of Tennessee, adhered to a Christian worldview. And like me, none of them were perfect, right? It's easy to go back to that period of time where many of those men who identified as Christians had slaves. Well, that's a sin. That's horrible. I think that gets to the preamble, and I really think of what our founders were trying to explore in many cases when they said in order to form a more perfect union. I think they realized that they didn't meet the mark. I think they realized that they needed the cross of Calvary, the blood of Christ, to be able to...
Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin. Boom, done. Deism, right? They were deists. Not Christians.
And then let me bring you back to my question, though, was...
They believe that basically like God is like this ultimate like craftsman, like a clockmaker or a watchmaker who created the universe, but then relied, after he created it, he relies on human rather than anything supernatural like angels and miracles and blah, blah. He relies on humans to basically run everything, and he's giving it to you, and it's like your playground kind of deal, rather than like miracles and angels and sending his son to die for your sins. Like there is a God, somebody made this. It's this amazing thing that couldn't have been made in any other way. But past that, humans will rise above and run the place kind of deal.
Why did they not include it in the Constitution? When the Bill of Rights was being discussed, why did they not pass the amendment that
Unitarianism
into the Constitution?
Well, I'm not
John
sure.
Adams,
Again, I think
maybe
part of that was captured in the First Amendment to prevent Congress from overreaching its authority. I think First Amendment's pretty clear in that. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that they didn't do that. I think that it's hard to take what they formed in government because they weren't setting up a theocracy. America is not that. But they were setting up a constitutional...
Which is what you're trying to do when you were trying to saying that everybody should be in favor of this if you're a Christian, banning all other religions, all other pagan religions.
Public, and they understood that there must be a moral basis for the Constitution to endure and for our adherence to it to that Constitution to endure. And I think that's clear in the writings. I think that's clear in the worldview of most of those men.
And then they also said there would be no religious test to hold office.
It is.
How are you today?
What's a Marxist?
There's a little Marxist reporter down in Nashville, Justin Canoe. He does the Tennessee Hall. With somebody that aligns with the ideals of Karl Marx, Engels, mass redistribution of wealth, collectivism.
Any redistribution of wealth?
Well, not exactly. If I have to reach in your pocket to pay for someone else's good or service, that's problematic.
Well, those are taxes.
So any taxation is Marxism?
No, not at all.
Taxation.
Anything outside the bounds of our Constitution.
How our state taxes people pay for things?
No, not necessarily.
So is our state government Marxist?
Nope.
But don't we tax people to then pay for services?
We do, but what you're missing is the bounds of the Constitution. So if you stay within the bounds of the Constitution we have, you're not practicing Marxism. When you hear me complain about Marxism, it's where we've done something.
We're way outside. The Constitution is simple. We're way outside the bounds of the Constitution.
The corporate welfare to build the Titans a new stadium.
That's Marxism?
I think so.
So
Let
everybody
me give you an example.
Your caucus
Let me give you
is Marxist based on that definition.
Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you two examples. You often hear about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We'll talk about a federal politician. And some of the views that maybe you espouse, socialized welfare, healthcare, so that you'll take money from my pocket and pay for yours or someone else's healthcare.
So healthcare is Marxist?
Well, if we are funding it from a collectivist standpoint.
We're taxing people to pay for healthcare. I don't think you know what Marxist is.
So healthcare being paid for by taxes, Marxist, right? So all the Medicare, Medicaid, TennCare, all that shit, Marxist.
That's my issue.
You're afraid to hear the answer. You do behave like one sometimes.
What does that mean?
You're okay with taking money from the mass in general, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily just taxing, and redistributing that wealth so that there is an equal outcome.
Taxing people.
Your way of looking at things is everybody deserves an equal outcome.
No.
The American way of doing things is that we put effort into it.
I agree with putting effort into it.
Well, good. Then maybe we agree on that. Maybe we agree.
As an example of Marxism, your first thing.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
So Monty Prince called the Titan Stadium Marxist.
I do. Yes, absolutely. Let me finish the answer, if you don't mind. So if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to set up a minimum wage of $25 per hour, or to set up a socialized medical system like the
So now higher minimum wage, Marxist. We already have a standard. Did you call this out when it went to $7.25 from $5.15?
I think those are Marxists. I think they are. I think on the other side of that coin is that if we take money from the population outside the constitutional bounds, what does that mean? Outside, you mean higher than you think we should tax people? No. I think what's in the bounds of the Constitution, you should go read the Constitution. Then it becomes Marxist.
The Constitution doesn't have a limit. Right? It gives the power of taxation. That's it.
We're building a stadium for a football team, or whether we're providing free socialized medicine for the entire. I think so. Yes, sir.
I appreciate the honesty. So I'm as Marxist as Governor Lee.
Unfortunately, we have people who are Democrats like yourself and folks that identify as Republicans that practice Marxism sometimes.
It just seems like you're throwing that turnaround kind of loosely.
No, not at all. How so? How do you see that?
Well, because you're calling me a Marxist, you're calling Governor Lee a Marxist. And if you
I think it's the 16th Amendment gives, federal taxes for income. And somewhere in Article 1, it does indirect taxes. Like it doesn't go into detail on what they can or can't be used for.
I do believe in some form of redistribution of wealth. I do believe in taxing the wealthy, the rich, to pay for things that help regular people. And I think by dismissing everything as Marxism.
Oh, here's a prime example. Article 1, Section 8 says, Congress shall lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises to pay debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare. General welfare. General welfare. It also goes on to state that it has to be uniform across each state. You can't charge higher taxes to one state than a different state. Direct taxes like a head count or land tax must be split among states based on their population numbers from the census. 16th Amendment gives Congress the clear power to tax all incomes from any source without splitting it up by state population. Like, what does he think general welfare is?
You're doing the bidding of billionaires and the rich.
So I think in the case of like the Titan Stadium, it's a billionaire family that owns that stadium. It's not the responsibility of the average poor person or middle class person to fund their endeavors.
See, I would offer that what you're describing there is the opposite of that. Because what you're doing there is you're taxing the poor to pay for something for the rich. And the opposite of that is to tax the rich to pay for things for the poor. That's what Marxism really was. And I agree with you that Marxism is equal outcomes for everybody. That's not what I believe.
Okay, good. It's good to know that. If you're getting outside again, what are the bounds of the Constitution? Tennessee Constitution, U.S. Constitution. You start to get into collecting money, and if you base it on socioeconomic terms, it becomes a Marxist thing. A socialism spreading into.
None of that's mentioned. Of course, we base it on how much you make, right? It's based on income.
Marxist worldview. We pick the winners and losers. Government should not. Government should not pick the winners and losers. Say that. I think
we don't pick the winners and losers. People become winners and losers, if you want to give them that title, right? Because you become a billionaire. It owns fucking 15 companies and 35 houses and 2 yachts, or you're poor. Obviously, we got to tax those people at different rates. We didn't pick that they're winners or losers. We looked at their income. We looked at their financial status and said, you owe us this much because you used our systems to make this money, and we take a collective amount of it back and pay for our systems.
I wish the winners would be working class people and the people with less rather than...
It's like when you hear how many people that work at like McDonald's or Walmart or Amazon or whatever that are on fucking some type of socialized help, right? It's insane. They're raking in billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, and we have people in the food stamp line.
I think treat everybody the same is what we're supposed to. Sir, I didn't say equal outcomes. No.
He tried to use corporate welfare as a form of Marxism. This guy's insane.
The Constitution, and you think
Thanks, Mona.
the Constitution will tax people to pay for things. Let's go the other way with the answer to that. Let's look at
I'm not great. I'm still scratching. I shouldn't be, but I feel a little bit better.
Value of education. So we the people adopted that Constitution that's a parameter of government. Second sentence says the General Assembly shall provide for the maintenance, support, and eligibility standards for a system of free public schools. I think that is a specific and restrictive statement, meaning that we can't take public funds sent to a private school.
To pay for things that aren't specifically outlined in the Constitution, that's when it becomes Marxism.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, the government providing any services that aren't specifically outlined in the Constitution is Marxism.
Well, it could certainly be that way. If you look at the federal Constitution, we have
could be if I decide that
18 areas of enumerated power. Unfortunately, we the people have allowed them to get far outside that.
And that's Marxism? I mean, we can have a good debate about the government is doing too much and some things it shouldn't be doing. And, I would certainly say that about a lot of the military funding that we have. To dismiss it all as Marxism, I just think it's a convenient way to downplay people like me.
I'm not trying to downplay. I actually like you, Justin. I think you know that. You were kind of being rude on...
Rude, I'll take.
Yeah.
Rude, I'll take. Yeah. Marxist, I just don't agree with. And so that's why I'm trying to get to the bottom of what you think that means.
So you denounce Marxism?
For sure.
Oh, good. Well, that's good to hear that.
Yeah, I'm not a Marxist. I'm not a communist. I do think that our system has led to vast amounts of inequality where the people at the top have too much and the working folks don't have enough. I support policies that balance that out. I don't consider that Marxism or communism. I just consider that we redistribute wealth no matter what.
We would disagree some there, and part of what we probably agree on is blue-collar working class person, the poor person, should not be supplementing the wealthy. We probably agree on that.
But that's what's happening.
In some cases, it is. Yeah.
That's what's happening.
The stadium that I mentioned.
In my opinion, that's what your party stands for first and foremost. The policies that Republicans pass under the guise of deregulation, under the guise of dismissing Marxism, end up helping the rich and powerful first and foremost, and that's kind of the thing that I wake up trying to fight against every single day.
I think too.
I think you do too. That's why I talk to you. Yeah. So that's why when you call me a Marxist and act like what I'm doing is...
I'm happy to hear that you're wrong.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to bring this up.
I would have bet. I would have lost the bet, but I would have bet you would have aligned with Marxism.
No.
So it's encouraging to me that you do not.
I would call myself more of a democratic socialist, although I don't like that word.
You know that's a slippery slope for Marxism, right?
No, it's not. Other countries have democratic socialists. MLK was a democratic socialist. FDR was a democratic socialist. These are people who think that the government can do good things. I don't like the word socialist being in that label because what's been done to that word. I would prefer to call it like a democratic capitalist, honestly. I think that would be a better way to look at it. But I'm not a Marxist.
Well, it's good to hear that. It's good to hear that.
Every time I criticize Monty Fritz, who's ready to be the governor of Tennessee, for saying that he wants to ban every single religion except for his own, his supporters say that he never said that. So this one is for you. Sorry for the long clip, but you need the context.
Then there are his views on Islam. You've said that you are not a fan of religious liberty, that you're okay with church bells, but you would outlaw Muslim calls to prayer.
Yes, sir.
Would you outlaw the practice of Islam in general? Would you outlaw building a mosque?
I would like to. And see, I'm not picking on just Islam. I would offer that for Buddhism or Hinduism or many of these other pagan religions. I would like to see them not exist in the United States of America. I would like to see that everyone would refer to Christ as king. That would be my goal.
I don't know. Said it pretty clear right there. Every time I criticize Monty Fritz, who's ready to be the governor of Tennessee, that Congress shall make no law respecting...
I would like to see that everyone would refer to Christ as king. That would be my goal.
I don't know. Said it pretty clear right there. And for those of you who have never heard of the First Amendment, I'm going to read it real quick because it's very short and very easy to comprehend. It says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Well, I have a lot of grievances with the platform that Monty Fritz is running on. So anyway, can't tell me he didn't say it. Every time I criticize Monty Fritz, who's ready to be
This is the third place candidate. Fourth place candidate? I don't know. We have Marsha Blackburn, John Rose, Monty Fritz, Jerry Green, Lauren Pinkston.
My name is Jerry Green, and I plan to be the next governor of the great state of Tennessee.
Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. Oh, can't play music.
and she was running, and this is a photo of me when I was 16. So when I was 16, I lived in East Memphis. I asked her one night what she was doing. She was writing letters for Jerry Green. And I said, what are you doing, Mom? She's like, I write letters, you want some? And so she passed me, like, I think it was 200 postcards. And she said, here's the message, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna write this. You're gonna make a difference. This is gonna make a difference. Like, this is part of who you are, kind of like showing up. And so I wrote those postcards.
That's awesome.
I still have a shirt, but I went with her, and Jerry Green was there, and she was running, and this is a photo of me when I was 16. Really amazing 6 years later. So, but yeah, it's so great to see her out here, and I really hope you guys go vote. Jerry Green was
Hey everybody, it's Jerry Green, Green for Governor, out here on my messy bun walk. And today I want to talk to you about the recent changes to THC sales in our state. A new law was enacted that requires more expensive license, more restrictions on wholesale, and a lot of hoops and red tape that people have to jump through to sell these products now. In addition to that, their best-selling product, the THC flower, has been eliminated, and they can't do direct sales to consumers. So when they made these changes, there was an industry that was able to immediately comply with these new expensive regulations. And it was not the small businesses that had popped up
It was the bigger corporations
to sell these products, but it was the alcohol industry. I've told you before, the alcohol industry is the one that's holding us back from legalizing cannabis for recreational and medicinal uses, and I find that problematic. There's another thing that's problematic in this and another industry at play, and that is the opioid industry. See, the people who are using this THC, like the gummies at night, what I have found in my talks to people, actual Tennesseans across the state, is they're using it during chemo to get their appetite back. They're using it because they are experiencing pain for one reason or another, often chronic pain. They have PTSD. They just have some sleep disorders and anxiety. We're keeping it away from people, especially people who are experiencing pain. And what can they turn to if they can't have these THC gummies is, of course, opioids, which we know is problematic. Both opioids and alcohol kill tens of thousands of Tennesseans every year, and we don't stop that, despite the fact that 0 die from cannabis, because they have such big lobbies and they line the pockets of the people who are in power right now. Hey everybody, it's Jerry Green, Green for Governor, out here on my messy bun walk. And today I want to talk to you about the recent changes.
Honestly, she seems like the only normal fucking person, which is crazy. That we don't have normal fucking candidates. I don't know why it froze. Hold on. Looks like I need a reboot.
Because I want y'all right now to hold what it feels like if we wake up the day after the election and Marsha Blackburn's our next governor. We're all disappointed. Now I want you to think about what it means for an immigrant. I want you to think about what it means for a lesbian girl. I want you to think about what it means for black voters who've been disenfranchised in Memphis. However bad and sick and nauseous you feel about it, understand they feel scared, terrified. How do I know? Because people cry in my arms everywhere I go. I need you to go vote, and I need you to bring a friend. And I need you to tell that friend to get 2 people out to vote. That's how we do this.
Hi everybody, I'm here to supporting Mrs. Jerry Green. I believe in changes, and I believe she will be the change for Tennessee because I'm worried about my family. I'm worried about all the Tennesseans, and we need this change. Go vote blue. We can make it a better Tennessee again. Hi everybody, I'm here to supporting Mrs. Jerry Green. I believe in changes, and I believe she will be the change.
Hey everybody, it's Jerry Green, Green for Governor. I want to come on today and talk to you about one part of my platform where we plan to put families over billionaires. And in particular, close to my heart are the veterans. I've met so many across the state. And I have very distinct plans that don't put corporations first, but instead put our families first. We owe this to those who served our country. So instead of giving big corporations and billionaires tax breaks, I will...
Damn it, stop freezing.
Only involve incentives if we are giving our veterans jobs.
Oh, John Rose, too.
I also want to work with the legislature to ensure that the property tax is based on their percent of disability. See, right now you have to be 100% disabled to qualify for any sort of tax relief on your property tax. I think we should make it based on the same percentage as your disability, just as other states do, not reinventing the wheel. And
the primary's like fucking next week or something.
Make sure that we are supporting not big corporations, but small businesses, particularly those that are started by veterans. And we can do that by waiving the startup fees for our veterans. So that's just 3 ways that I plan to give back to our veterans. If you want to learn more about my campaign, my platform, please go to greenforgovernor.com and sign up to join our team. Together, we can take back our state.
So a lot of these Republicans won't be on the ticket. We're still going into the primaries, obviously, but while we're on this, let's check out this other person. You guys remember I showed Marsha Blackburn doesn't really do town halls. The last one she did, she had someone removed from that town hall for saying that's not true when she said there's only male and there's only female. And the person said intersex, and they said that's no such thing. And she said that's not true. And she had that person removed from the town hall. Well, that person is running.
I want to talk about the most interesting
for Congress
in the country, which is District 1 in East Tennessee. Now, I do live here.
It's my district.
A little bit biased.
I actually live in this little spot that kind of looks like a I don't know, like a little hook here. I live in that area.
On it, but
our county looks like a dog bone.
We have Christy Burke going up against Diana Harshbarger. To be fair, the primaries aren't on Thursday, so you still have to vote for Christy Burke, but I'm feeling pretty confident that she's going to win the primary, so you can vote for her in November. Now, I could make a whole video talking about Christy's policies. I'm not going to do that today. Go to votechristyburke.com to see her policies, but if you like what I post, you're going to like what she's running on. I want to talk about something that Christy was doing in February of last year, which was getting thrown out of a town hall hosted by Diana Harshbarger for asking her question. I don't know it for a fact, but I do believe this was the last town hall that Diana Harshbarger has ever held because she very famously does not talk to her constituents. But at the town hall, actually prior to the town hall, Christy had spent a couple weeks reaching out to her office trying to speak to Diana to ask her about certain policies and things that she was talking about at the time, to no avail. Frustrated, Christy shows up to the town hall, was forcibly removed by the police officers that were there for asking Diana questions. So there is a video of it all. I will try to link it below depending on the platform that you're watching on, but a lot of people, the whole crowd, was asking Diana questions in the same exact fashion in which Christy was. Christy was the only one to be removed. Diana had spent however long spewing hateful propaganda, hateful rhetoric, and just lying, and eventually had said that intersex people just do not exist. Christy called her out on that, got removed. On January 9th of this year, less than a year after that happened, Christy pulled her petition to actually officially run for Congress and to oppose Diana, which is dope. And I'm gonna tell you why that's dope. Christy, on a follow-up video she posts talking about the event where she was removed, I think it's the first time she says it, she says that she's about walking the walk. A lot of things in her campaign are about walking the walk. She used her First Amendment right, was removed from a setting in which she was trying to get clarification, trying to ask questions from an elected official, and was removed from it. That's not how democracy works. Christy got fed up, and now she's running to be your congressperson. That is somebody who walks the walk. And I say all this to say I do support the policies that she's running on. And even if I did not support the policies that she's running on, you have to respect the fact that she exercised her constitutional rights and the fact that she is standing behind the things
40,000 years ago
says and is running to make the community better and has spent a large part of her campaign giving back to the community. Two things that I was actually personally involved in were 2 comedy shows in which the proceeds went back to the Pride Community Center. Anyway, I think Christy would make
I don't know that she'll win, but she seems like a decent candidate.
Congress,
East Tennessee.
Wonderful congresswoman. I think that you all should vote for her. I think that she is what East Tennessee needs. And I do believe that this campaign, and Christy in particular, should be getting a lot more attention because it's just an interesting story. Thank you. I want
But you know, when I was first, aware of you, you were kicked out of one of her town halls.
She won't answer the questions.
Ask people out here.
Diana Harshbarger.
We have one more. Okay.
Get up.
No. Are you?
I said Blackburn again, didn't I? Harshbarger.
She didn't do anything. I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I asked a question.
What was it like going from being someone kicked out of one of her meetings for asking a question that she wouldn't answer, now running against her?
A wild ride that I never anticipated. I keep telling people that I feel like I kind of just jumped into this rushing river. It's just taken me and I just have to go with the flow. I showed up to her town hall because I recognized the need to start getting more active and engaged. It's not just about showing up and voting. You have to be more involved than that. I was removed for asking these questions and for
Tennessee Brando's pretty cool.
Lie to our faces. From there,
Tennessee Holler.
I was pulled out. I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that this woman gets out of office, no matter what it is. For me, it was just, I don't see it happening and I can't have this woman representing me or my neighbors anymore. I would make a better representative than she does because I'm actually in the community talking to people, hearing their concerns. I know what it's like to struggle with them, what their struggles are, and she is so out of touch. She couldn't possibly represent the people of this district. It's been a wild ride, but I just knew that it needed to be done. So here I am.
Diana Harshbarger stood in front of her own constituents. She shushed us and she talked down to us. Listen to me. I want you to listen. Listen to me. Listen to me. You need to hush. Sit here and listen.
She's really, really, really bad at town halls. Marsha Blackburn won't even do them. Diane Harshbarger talks shit and then has people thrown out, talks down to people like they're fucking stupid.
It's been 1 year since I was removed.
She even shushes people.
You need to hush. Sit here and listen. And 1 year, I was removed from that town hall for refusing to sit quietly while she lied to our faces. And you watched as your elected representative demanded respect that she had never earned while selling you out to Trump and her corporate donors. And she thought we were all just going to sit down and take it. But look around, Diana. That didn't work, did it? If this is what representation looks like in East Tennessee, we all deserve so much better than this. Yeah.
But, when I was first, aware of you were kicked out of one of her town halls.
So I'm excited for Christy Burke. I'll be voting for her. See, John Rose, also a candidate.
John Rose is running to be the governor of Tennessee, and I hate this guy. I do. Okay, listen, I'm actually angry right now after looking into the things he's running on, and I'm going to keep it really brief because it's the normal MAGA Republicans. He's really up Trump's ass. It's the normal MAGA Republican talking points. That's all he's running on. But I do want to talk about two things. On his website, he specifically mentions that he wants to bring hospitals and emergency rooms back to rural communities in Tennessee, and he has spent his entire political career voting on the very bills that has made it impossible to sustain hospitals and emergency rooms in rural communities. Very big Stop the Steal guy. No surprise there. He's up Trump's ass. I mean, he could not be further up Trump's ass. He really couldn't be. And then the other thing that we need to it's the elephant in the room, right? He met his wife when she was 17 years old and he was in his 40s, and they were married by the time she turned 21, or they may have got married when she was 21. But I'm just saying, that's not like, that's the most MAGA thing you can do, I guess. Like, no, dude, like, I'm not saying he's, you know what I mean? Like that's not an okay thing to do. You cannot meet a teenager when you're in your 40s and be married to them in the next 4 years. That is not an okay thing to do. That's a very odd thing. And I'm not seeing enough people talking about that. I'm just not seeing. Yeah, don't vote for John Rose. He might be the worst person I've ever seen running for any elected office. Like, I hate this guy. John Rose is running to be the governor of Tennessee, and I hate.
Is your member of Congress a piece of shit? Let's find out. Today we're going to be grading the financial integrity of John Rose from Tennessee's 6th Congressional District. All right, so he's been in office since 2019. Last cycle, the $1.1 million that he raised, 19% of those funds came from PACs, 12% of those funds came from small individual donations, while 68% of those funds came from large individual donations. Moving to his personal finances, he trades a lot of individual stock, making 22 trades with an estimated trade volume of $15.5 million. Most of this activity has come in 2025. Currently, it's estimated that $20 million out of his $58 million net worth is held in individual stocks. Back to the campaign side, he has a very low reliance on corporate funds, only receiving $28,000 of corporate PAC money last cycle from 12 different corporate PACs. Moving on to grading, this is a bit interesting because he does get 80% of his funds from individual donors, and he does have a low reliance on corporate funds. However, he also holds the 4th most stocks in the House of Representatives. Overall, John Rose ranks 252nd out of the reps I've graded so far, and gets an F. Is your member of Congress?
Rose echoed open border leftists questioning Trump's deportations.
Apparently, he had a really bad interview. Let's see if we can find it. A really awkward interview or something. I haven't seen it. I don't know why it didn't let me search those terms. What the fuck? Okay. That's my local. My local news station. I'm trying to see which one it was, on which station it was. I don't know. Let's see, let's just grab one of his interviews. He did one from 11 days ago, I think. This one.
It's been a full week of early voting for the primaries here in Tennessee, and Nashville alone recording 19,000 voters. The state recording almost 253,000 total voters through this morning. These primaries are seeing higher turnout than both the 2022 and 2018 elections. The Republican race for Tennessee governor, an already fierce battle. Last week, Bob spoke with Senator Marsha Blackburn. Today, he sat down with competitor Representative John Rose.
You're a four-term congressman. You know the politics in this state. If you chose to run for re-election, it's 99.9% you win re-election. Why do you choose to gamble that? Have you served your time in Washington? You feel you can better serve Tennesseans in the governor's office?
I have. When my wife and I, Chelsea, decided that we'd run for Congress back in 2018, we thought we better have an exit strategy for Washington. And having been there for 7.5 years, I think we had the right instinct. So we pondered on that. We took some inspiration from George Washington. We decided 8 years. That's the amount. So that's why I announced last year I was coming home.
On your website, you call yourself 100% pro-life. Would you support legislation being discussed on Tennessee's Capitol Hill, but not move forward yet, that would impose the death penalty on a woman who receives an abortion?
I think we have to find a better way. So I don't think that's the right choice for Tennessee.
What's your plan to improve education and education outcomes?
Yeah, so I don't think it's just about spending. Obviously, that's a factor. We've seen Governor Lee move us toward a starting salary floor of $50,000 for teachers. I think that's a good thing. So we do have to spend enough to get the job done. You know, Tennessee throughout most of my life has been at the bottom of the barrel. We're now middle of the pack if you look at most of the measures for educational outcomes. So that says we're punching above our.
No, we're not. We were very last on spending per student, right?
And we've got to continue on that path. You know, here's an interesting statistic that SCORE, the State Collaborative on Reforming Education, has put out, is that if we got one more student in each Tennessee classroom to attainment levels each year, and we did that for 8 years in a row, we'd be in the top 10 for outcomes among U.S. school systems. I think that's the kind of plan we need to follow.
The state is facing a $60 billion infrastructure shortfall because the gas tax doesn't make up enough to make for all the repairs. Does there need to be another form of income to pay for bridges and road repairs? How do you
We already pay a shit ton of sales taxes and a shit ton of gas tax.
With infrastructure facing that kind of deficit and crumbling roads?
Sure, and you saw the recent TASER report that puts the broader infrastructure price tag at closer to 8.
We need federal investment, taxation. We do need to fix infrastructure for sure.
$90 billion. So there are some real hard choices to be made there. I think you start by managing government carefully, setting better priorities, prioritizing roads and infrastructure ahead of some of the things that we've been prioritizing.
Ending the programs that are actually helping the poor, and make sure we give giant contracts to giant contractors. It's in the name.
Now, you can watch Bob's full interview with Congressman John Rose as he runs for the Republican nomination for governor. They spoke about farmers and helping rural Tennessee. It airs Saturday at 6 p.m. and Sunday again at 11 p.m. on this week.
This seems interesting from the More Perfect Union. I haven't seen this. Can Abdul El Said win over a Trump voter? Let's see.
Abolish ICE. I have a hard time with that.
I know that Medicare for all would be very difficult. Why is now the time?
Does he support the continued existence
from More Perfect Union
in Israel-Palestine?
All eyes are on Michigan, where Abdul El-Sayed is on the verge of a massive upset in the Senate Democratic primary, campaigning on issues that were previously deemed too radical.
I'm running on 3 things: money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all.
The argument against him is, as usual, about electability.
The electability issue, that is really the central question here.
The establishment pick is Haley Stevens, who's backed by over $30 million from AIPAC.
No one wants
and the governor
Abdul to win more than the Republicans. They think that they can beat him in November.
But in an era where an increasing number of Americans feel politically homeless, what does electability actually mean?
I have a lot of concerns with the Democratic Party.
I feel scared to call myself.
That woman is a walking skits. Hold on.
Abolish ICE. I have a hard time with that.
What is her name?
Week.
Haley Stevens. She's a walking skit. Have you guys seen this? If this isn't SNL material, I don't know what the fuck is.
Okay, some of you have seen, there's those cool kids on the internet. They're doing the cool kid chatter. Some of them might...
okay. I'm going to try to be diplomatic. I've got no problem with you being Jewish whatsoever. More power to you. If you're going to be Jewish, you're going to be public, you're going to be a candidate, don't do the greedy Jewish meme, okay? We don't need to see a lot of this, okay? They literally make GIFs of you doing this while they claim that you're making our kids trans or whatever. Stop doing this. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Stop doing this. Watch her.
Okay, some of you have seen, there's those cool kids on the internet. They're doing the cool kid chatter.
Looks like she's washing up to do a circumcision. I don't know what it is. Stop it.
Some of them might be the coastal elites.
Making fun of how I talk.
Making fun of how I talk. That little asshole puckered mouth. I fucking hate her. I hate her.
Not okay. Not okay. Says my governor.
Says the governor. Uh-oh.
But let's be real. They're making fun of Michigan.
That's right.
They're thinking they're better than us. And what they don't know is I am your voice. And their jokes and their criticism only...
Gretchen Whitmer supporting her kind of pissed off a lot of people.
Your voice. And their jokes and their criticism...
I was in the back with my governor, and we were coming up with a plan to get all the shekels. Stop rubbing your hands together.
And their jokes and their criticism only makes me fight harder.
Does that not seem like an SNL skit?
Okay.
Or is it just me? All right, back to this.
The Democrat.
This is who's running against her in the primary. He's doing decent, but the reason they say that he deserves to lose the primary is because when he faces a Republican, people won't vote for him because he's too radical. We need more of like a centrist Democrat that can actually run against a Republican rather than this guy who's further left, who they'll destroy. And it's the same argument they made against Graham Plattner too, which Graham Plattner turned out to be a piece of shit. But before any of that came to light, like he's too radical, he doesn't know how to do this, he can't do that, there's no electability.
I no longer consider myself either a Republican or Democrat.
And can a progressive agenda really win in a purple state like Michigan?
What's my coalition? It's people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We gather voters with diverse political views to put El Sayed's message to the test.
Let's see.
I come from a fourth-generation auto worker family. A lot of what we hear from Democrats is like a lot of lip service.
I can't believe unions have tried to back Trump. That's fucking insane that unions have flipped to the Republican Party, dude.
When in actuality, they don't really follow through on
That
any.
union leaders are telling, like, they often heavily imply who you should vote for, but it should not be fucking Trump, dude.
They really say.
I am a service-disabled veteran. I would previously describe myself politically as more Republican-leaning.
I have voted Republican in the past. I feel like the mainstream media is very biased, and I do respect a lot of the independent journalists, including Tucker Carlson.
My political views have evolved over time.
Tucker Carlson, independent journalist.
He said that we will try
propaganda minister
in the Middle East. We accepted his pledge.
Have you ever voted for a Republican?
Yes, many times. More often than Democrat.
Right. How are you? Good to see you guys. Nice to meet you. How are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be out here. Yeah, really appreciate you.
Let's begin with Medicare for All, because that is one of the most important issues in this race. I went to medical school, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about the system, wrote a whole book on it, and ultimately realized that the biggest challenge is not making the math work. The biggest challenge is not architecting the system. The biggest challenge is creating the political will to get there. I want you to imagine that next to your insurance card, you had another card, and that card was your Medicare card. It came to you the day you were born, and it didn't matter if you turned 26, or get married, or get divorced, or get a job, or lose a job, that you could get healthcare with it. That's what Medicare for All is.
My uncle, he had a precarious healthcare situation, and he put off getting treatment for a while, and he ended up passing away from stomach cancer. I just think that really goes to show how far gone the system stands as it is right now.
Most people just put off having to do anything because the financial burden of actually getting the healthcare you need is more anxiety-provoking than the possibility of being very sick. Now, the current system that we live under allows all of the corporations who make money off of our healthcare system to spend money to elect people who will then turn around and protect the industry.
We don't even have to have like free Medicaid for all. Like it could be a structured thing that everybody qualifies for. And if you make $50,000 or below a year, you're out, right? You just get it for free. 50,000 to 100,000, you pay this much a week. And just like employers, the employer shit, if you're eligible to work and all that shit. Like, but we need a better system than everybody fucking fend for yourself. Hopefully you got a good job that'll kind of support you, or maybe they'll pay for it, or maybe they'll have an option to where you can buy it at a cheaper price. And if they don't, fuck it, just go somewhere else and find it. No one gives a damn. Fend for yourself.
And they've, in effect, manufactured a bipartisan consensus that tells us we can't have guaranteed health care through Medicare.
Basically, anything's better than what we got now.
Just remember, we already pay for it. Every single dollar that goes.
And I have socialized health care. I'm part of the VA.
To the back pocket of an insurance CEO. Every single dollar that goes to a pharmaceutical company, every single dollar comes from where? One of our pockets. Every single one. And because you don't have to worry about that health insurance CEO's
exorbitant salary. Now, all of a sudden, the overhead off that system goes down. That's the vision of Medicare for All. We could have it if we actually were willing to fight for it.
My name is Lena Saad. I'm a clinical pharmacist. There's one patient that was not able to afford her oral therapy at the time, and we relied on giving her samples that we would get from drug companies, and I would literally take it and drive it to her on my way home. So how can we incorporate the pharmaceutical aspect into Medicare for All as well?
So one of the most important things we could do is negotiate prescription drug prices. Medicare becomes the buyer of all prescription drugs on behalf of all of us. And so it can use its power purchasing on behalf of the 350.
Right. When we make Medicare more powerful because it represents everybody, think of how much more powerful the drug price negotiations become. When Medicare represents every U.S. citizen, and we're the only people that buy the drugs now. So either negotiate with us or you don't sell any drugs in the United States.
Million people in this country to start bringing those rates down. Here's the other crazy thing about pharma. Almost every pharmaceutical that has come to market in the last decade has had its roots in NIH-funded research. You know who paid for that? We did. Then some private company comes and buys the rights to this thing. Then they get to sell it back to the taxpayer at a ridiculous rate. And that's insane to me. My mom's from Canada originally, and it seems like the motive there is to keep the people healthy. So what we really want is prevention. I'll be honest with you, I actually agree with Maha on a lot of things. Most people are like, wait, what? They're right about a lot of the problems. The solutions are batshit crazy, but they're right about a lot of the problems. I think we need to stop selling huge amounts of ultra-processed foods in ways that have us subsidizing them via a whole bunch of programs, when what we really want is people to be eating healthy foods in the first place, right? Like in our current system, let's be clear, a lot of people make a lot of money off of people getting sick.
I've been working for Ford Motor Company for 31 years now. I've had it nice being a UAW member that I've had health insurance my entire career. I find myself as a parent of a child with autism. I'm coming towards the end of my career. So that's one of my biggest fears. Where the care will be in place for him? I typically hold more libertarian views on something like this. So would we be doing like a single payer system?
It would be single payer. And what I want is that the government basically guarantees your health insurance. And that allows the healthcare providers to go out and say, look, if I can provide a better service, then I should win more patients. But it shouldn't be that your health insurance says, no, here's who's in network and here's who's out of network. So you're going to go here and you're going to like it. And I think there's a couple of pieces that we need to institutionalize. Number one, the governance of this system can't just change on a dime because you have a new president, right? And so the governance would have to live somewhere similar to the kind that we offer in the Fed, right? So the governance would have to sit under but separate from the executive branch in a certain way. We're the richest, most powerful country in the history of the world. And we fight wars for no reason. But whenever we talk about providing healthcare, everyone's like, well, I don't know if we can do it. Well, it's a choice. These are policy choices. I would rather not spend $1 trillion on war. I'd rather spend that money on healthcare and schools and infrastructure.
The U.S. relationship with Israel.
I don't mind a bit it being staggered. Like, if you're working and holding a job, and if you go unemployed, boom, the day you go unemployed, I don't care if you quit, fired, whatever, right? Had an accident, failed a drug test, yours is now covered. You just file the paperwork, say, I don't have a job right now. Yours is now covered until you pick up a job again. To make a certain threshold, then you start payments back in. I don't have a problem with that being staggered. Like, some people are paying $0, some people are paying $100 a fucking pay period, some people are paying fucking $300 a pay period, or $1,000 a pay period if they're fucking billionaires. You know what I mean?
The question about Israel isn't about the theoretical right to exist of a country that exists. The question about Israel is, do they have a right to our tax dollars?
AIPAC is spending $30 million to defeat El Sayed, its largest single race investment ever.
Too radical for Michigan. Too radical for the
largest single race investment ever. Some of the cool kids on the interwebs are saying that Israel wants me in charge. Well, that's true. We are working together.
Commitment to Israel, very clear.
Hello from Israel! I will continue to fight for Israel's existence. Israel comes to me in my dreams.
But most voters believe the U.S. is too supportive of Israel, according to a recent AP poll. So will El Sayed's message actually get him more votes in Michigan?
As a U.S. Senator, how would you seek to reorient U.S. foreign policy? I don't believe in unconditional foreign military aid to anyone. I don't pay my taxes every year to be like, man, I can't wait for Israel to get a new tank. And then when it comes to Israel's own behavior, I think we need to engage them consistent with what they have done. They have perpetrated genocide. And before that, they were perpetrating apartheid, right? They lobbied to move us into a war. Now they're trying to annex southern Lebanon. Like, I just think that any other country that behaved that way would be treated as a rogue nation because they're violating international law.
A fear that a lot of American Jews have when they hear messaging against the state of Israel is that that is a slippery slope towards Jews don't belong in Israel-Palestine at all.
I recognize that that land is a land that a lot of people have lived on, right? The most recent inhabitants before 1948 were the Palestinian people, but also historically the Jewish people. The problem, though, is that the implicit public policy of our government has been to aid, arm, and abet Israel's current government to the exclusion of the right to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinian people, right?
What would you say to people who are worried that with...
Oh, that's good. I wasn't even keeping up with that. We kicked ass tonight, defeating A4 and 5. Hold on. Amendment 4 and 5. Amendment 4 would make it harder for citizens to change the Missouri Constitution. Okay. Amendment 5 would overhaul the state's tax base. would make it 4 would make it significantly harder for citizens to amend the state constitution using the initiative petition process. It would change the threshold for amendments proposed by citizen-led initiatives to pass from a simple statewide majority to a majority in each of the state's 8 congressional districts. So every district would have to show a majority. So you go from only having one majority of the state to you have to have 8 majorities in 8 districts. This would not apply to amendments proposed by lawmakers, though, only those initiative-led. Missouri 5 would slowly phase out the state income tax and give state lawmakers the power to broadly raise the sales tax. There are no specific goods or services listed in the language of the amendment. Well, I'm glad you guys won. Show up and vote. Sometimes I guess it does make changes.
Strong defense.
I'm ready to vote from the rooftops.
Would make American Jews less safe.
If they'll put a polling place up there.
The things that we're doing with our tax dollars to backstop a foreign government somehow makes Jewish folk more safe here, that doesn't make sense to me. I start from a position of principle, which is to say that Jewish Americans are not the same as AIPAC in Israel, that Jewish Americans deserve to live their lives unfettered and unencumbered by discrimination or hate, and that we have to fight together to build an America where that anti-Semitism is stamped out.
There is the largest Arab American community here in Michigan, and mostly are from the southern.
Sorry, I didn't mean to have that on the screen.
Building this dream home for all of us as brothers and sisters, and it vanished in a couple of seconds, and the soldiers were laughing about demolishing the whole village. As an American citizen, I'm paying taxes for this government.
Good deal.
And kill us for what?
I appreciate you lifting your voice, and I'm sorry about your family's experience. What is happening in southern Lebanon right now is.
Where's the next Luigi?
I intend to be a voice in the U.S. Senate to consistently advocate for our principles. And
I'm joking, by the way.
We apply them consistently.
Do you think that it's harder to change things so we're not being proactive anymore? Like it's easier just to let things keep going? Like Israel, AIPAC, is it just the easy way out?
I'm threatening a system of power that says you just go along to get along. The real issue in our politics is not right versus left. It's not like progressive versus conservative. It's not Democrat, Republican. It's people who are locked out of our healthcare, our housing, our economy, versus the people doing the locking up. I just want to always be on the side of the people who are locked out. In theory, my opponent in this race is Haley Stevens. My real opponent in this race is Chuck Schumer, every corporate PAC, AIPAC. They will run your name in the mud. They will lie about you. They will lie about their opponent. It doesn't matter as long as they maintain the control and power.
One of the
steroiding up, chat.
Is that
get ready? Gotta rip the screen in half.
Establishment thinks that Stevens' ties to the Obama administration
Step through your TV or your phone.
2018 make her a safer bet, but recent polls slightly favor El Sayed's chances against Rogers.
I haven't decided who I'm going to vote for sure. I do think Stevens polls a lot better with the older demographic who are much more likely to vote. I think Haley would have a better.
And all my boomers are coming out to vote, and they can tell that we're going to save Israel.
Chance to beat him.
Does that impact how you're going to decide to vote?
Yes, for sure. When it comes to being against Mark Rogers, I want to hear how you can get.
What is the new theory? It's bird hands, right? The women who talk with bird hands, they do little bird mouths. And then I was saying that what you want to know is that this and this and this and this is step one. She does the Jew hands. I don't know. I don't even, Jewish people don't even fucking bother me, but this is their meme for you, dude. This is it. This is what they share and all the comments. You got to stop it. You got to do something. Put your hands in your pockets, your own pockets.
Your message out to people when you are facing these odds of people spending millions and millions of dollars that you don't necessarily have.
You beat Mike Rogers because you build something that embodies the hope and the joy that you want to have for the future. This is a guy who voted to raise prescription drug prices I don't know how many times. Then he helped architect the opioid epidemic. He took $700,000 from the pharma industry. They're going to spend a whole lot of money trying to call me some combination between a communist and a terrorist. And I'm going to sit out there and be like, yeah, well, he's corrupt as hell. Now, I get it. I'm brown. I'm Muslim. I got a name you probably can't pronounce, right? But I was born and raised here. And I've taken the time to serve and listen. So I think that's how we beat him.
I do question his ability to win against a Republican. I feel that some of his beliefs turn off a large portion of the population. Listening to his comments that he would like to abolish ICE, I have a hard time with that.
I'm Abdul Sayed, the only Senate candidate for abolishing ICE, and I approve this message.
A lot of people in this room, abolish ICE is one where they are a little bit confused about what it means. Lena, you expressed some questions about what Bill's immigration policy looks like.
I think we can put ICE to better use to protect our borders and protect Americans. How can we draw that fine line between utilizing this federal agency versus allowing them to go rogue as they've done recently?
Here's the thing. So I've run government agencies, and once they take on a certain culture, it's really hard to change the culture. Really.
Right. It's really hard to weed that out. You've got that mentality. You've hired these people. Even if they tell you they don't believe it anymore, it's in the back of their heads. They were given, this wide and broad power to just fucking gun people down. How do you train that out of them?
Hard. So under Trump, he started to recruit people who specifically came to ICE, not to specifically enforce immigration policy, but they're against immigration. The whole subtext of this is that Donald Trump sold this fallacy to people where he understood that people were in pain. You're out of a job. You're out of a home. You can't afford your health care. And his answer was a simple one. Well, you're out of a job because immigrants are your job. Out of a home, immigrants live in your home. Out of health care, immigrants get health care. And so he turned immigrants into the answer to everybody's problems. And then he built out ICE as a way of demonizing immigration itself. ICE itself has become a rogue agency based on a premise that is inconsistent with both the Constitution and the ideals of our country. We don't need it. In fact, we didn't have it before 2002. America's a lot older than 2002. So the notion that we can't protect our southern border or we can't enforce immigration policy without ICE is just not true. You get rid of the agency, you fire all the people in it, and then you ask yourself, what would you want to build? that actually achieved the goals that we have, to keep a safe and secure southern border, to create a very clear pathway to citizenship for people, right? And in the cases where you have people who should not be here and do bad things, that you are very targeted in your enforcement, rather than making a show out of enforcing to tell all immigrants that they don't belong here.
That's very, very enlightening. Thank you.
Because I think this goes to like ICE and other things that like our politics are so black and white. How do you change that narrative? Because we need to recognize each other as like people again.
The problem with too many Democrats is it's too easy to point and say, I'm against Trump. You should vote for me. And you're like, well, from a policy standpoint, are you really for me?
Yeah.
You're taking money from all the worst people. So what would happen if we actually built a movement about what could be good? When we can start talking to folks who might have voted for Trump for a whole bunch of different reasons, to be like, all right, is your life better now? Do you have better healthcare? Do you have better access to a job? Can you afford a home? If no, here's an opportunity. Let's focus on that, right? So I just really appreciate you guys having this conversation that's like the lifeblood of what we do in our civics, and it's really enlightening. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
Did Abdul change your mind on any issues?
Yeah, definitely on the ICE issue.
I think the way that Abdul spoke about Medicare for all, as far as it being plausible and a tangible goal, was pretty enlightening, and I plan to vote for Abdul.
I think that Abdul did change my mind about what I feel like I can expect from a politician who really believes what they say.
Him taking a stance on something, even if it's strong and people consider it maybe too strong, I think taking a stance means something.
It's an election. Anybody can lose.
Or how many of them didn't receive background checks? Like that one that had the domestic violence shit. And his ex-wife came out. It's like, I don't know why they give him a gun. He has a fucking PTSD diagnosis. Like, he's had several violent outbursts. They give him a job with a gun.
Stevens could lose, and I'd rather, vote for somebody who I agree with on their policy points rather than somebody who I just think is against Trump. I've got my mail-in ballot at home. I'm gonna go home and fill it out and mail it in for Abdul El-Sayed.
The narrative in the media is that El-Sayed's policies are too radical to win. But with these voters, who largely distrust both parties, his ideas broke through. El-Sayed won't be able to sit down with every skeptical voter in the state, though. So I asked him what he thinks his path to victory in November actually looks like.
You talked to a bunch of voters who had voted for Trump, many who identified as Republican for a long time, and they all left the conversation yesterday saying that they're going to vote for you. Are there issues beyond sort of Medicare for all, which is your core, that you think have the potential to win over disaffected Trump voters in a general election?
Corporate monopoly, the corruption of our food system, the role of AI in society, the onslaught of data centers. You think about who's taking money from these corporations. Unfortunately, it's Democrats and Republicans. I always wonder why there's so much opposition to this in the Democratic Party. And I keep coming back to the same answer, which is it's just laziness. It's laziness, and it's this sort of elitism. The laziness part is, well, if we can't get money from corporations, then we're actually going to have a message and go talk about our message anywhere and everywhere. I've done 450 public events. I challenge my opponent in this race to say how many events she's done, where she's actually taking questions. You've got to do the work, it turns out. And then the elitism part is, well, the corporations are rich, and they throw the fanciest parties. And if I don't take the money, I'm not going to be invited to the party. Man, fuck your party. Who cares? You've got the best room on the Titanic and don't realize the whole Titanic's about to go down. I don't know, man. I just, I really struggle to understand the psychology of it.
Yeah. It seems to me that you are interested in something deeper than just winning this election, that it is actually fighting for some sort of change.
Losing this primary is not the worst outcome for me. The worst outcome is that I get the job and I fail to deliver. That's the worst outcome. So I don't want to fight for the job and in the process hamstring myself from doing the work. I don't want to have been one of those senators that, you had this power and then you sold out and then you can't even account for why you were there. So right now, you've got the choice between three candidates, 2 of us in this primary and then 1 in the general. There's only one of us who's never taken money from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Only one of us who doesn't want to send your money abroad to drop bombs on other people and wants to keep it here to invest in your kids. There's only one of us. So what you pick?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support our journalism so we can create more videos like this one, join our membership program to get exclusive perks and members-only content. And if you have a tip, email us at stories@perfectunion.us.
It's a pretty good video. What we got from Climate Town? I haven't seen this one.
So a few months ago, we made a video about how Exxon was trying to trick people into thinking that they had a green goo that could replace gasoline. And it turns out that while they were spending millions of dollars advertising how well it was working, they were secretly emailing each other about how it super wasn't working. And I'm not some kind of
still decades away from what we need.
Computer hacker who can read people's emails.
A new agency?
I got all that from a massive government report about how oil companies try to mislead the public on climate action. Lawmakers spent 3 years gathering internal documents. They found some insane shit, and they put it all in this report. The title sucks. Don't get stuck on that. It's a really good report. So when it came time to present this report in the United States Senate, I figured I would tune in to see some lively debates or just whatever the latest climate denial talking points were. Instead, I was treated to a festival of unserious bullshit led by this guy. Quote,
INS, the people who used to do it before ICE was a thing.
Eat shit, Darren. Are you going to call me a sick fuck? I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective advice.
Sure that guy was John Kennedy. No, not this John Kennedy. This John Kennedy got shot and turned into an airport. This John Kennedy is not one of those Kennedys at all. He's the senator from Louisiana, and he's really pushing a sort of, oh, shucks, I'm just a simple country lawyer kind of vibe.
I keep my promises. You can write that down and take it home to mama.
But after watching him torpedo a hearing on big oil, I decided to go down the Kennedy rabbit hole, and you will not believe what we found there.
These woke, high IQ stupid people, they walk around with Ziploc bags of kale that they can eat to give them energy.
John Kennedy. John is one of my dearest friends in the Senate. He is also as good a stand-up comedian as I've ever known.
I believe that you should
heard of curb your enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
Nailed Nailed it.
So let's take a look at Ted Cruz's favorite comedian, who also happens to be a United States senator, who trolls witnesses and then posts the clips online for followers like some kind of baby boomer clavicular. Hi, I'm Raleigh Williams, a guy with a climate science and policy degree and a newfound nostalgia for the time I didn't know very much about Senator Kennedy. Welcome to Climate Town.
I have not seen that. We'll probably watch tomorrow. I remember.
Let me set the scene for you.
Reminds me.
May 1st, 2024. We are in the heart of the Drake and Kendrick beef. It's 3 days until Not Like Us comes out, and the Senate Budget Committee is sitting down to discuss a bombshell new report about big oil. And much like Not Like Us, this report is a banger. It is 65 pages long, and it is packed with receipts. You've got some classics that we've seen before, like the Exxon internal memos from 1979 showing they already knew about climate change and how it could negatively affect their business.
In 1979, they knew climate change. Significant climate changes were coming.
You've got the oil lobby documents from the late 90s talking about strategies to emphasize the uncertainty in climate change despite not actually being uncertain about it. But it's not.
They're the ones behind, like, well, not all scientists agree. Well, we go through these periods of warming and cooling, and you can't be for sure that's what's causing it.
Not just a greatest hits album, you've also got some hot new stuff, like BP announcing their new net zero pledges with ads like this, despite recent internal emails that say this. It goes a bit too far to state or imply support for net zero by 2050 because that would require policy likely to put some existing assets at risk. There's a section on using front groups to spread misinformation so the oil companies themselves can't be blamed for it.
Fossil fuel companies rely on trade associations, think tanks, and other nonprofits to spread misleading narratives to the public without having to put their names directly on advertisements, lobbying, or PR campaigns.
There's a section on targeting universities, tracking critics, and pressuring news outlets. There's even a section on how big oil tried to obstruct the release of this report. Very meta, boys. Nice job. Apparently, Congress subpoenaed a bunch of fossil fuel companies for documents related to climate denial and delay strategies, and instead of just turning everything over, a thing they are required to do, they sent over some documents that looked like this.
Fully redacted, of course.
Must
be part of the Epstein files.
Forwarded copy of a Guardian article, except they redacted 2 of the paragraphs. This was not some kind of internal email. This was a public newspaper article, which means you can just look up the article and see exactly what was so scary to BP that they tried to redact it so Congress couldn't read it. We don't know the future, but we do know the past, and here's something we shouldn't miss. We've seen this before. The same arguments used by President Trump and even the people he cited were used by the oil and gas industry to block climate policies through the 1990s, including the United States' implementation of the Kyoto Protocol. The playbook from 20 years ago is back, and this time we must be ready for it. Which is kind of a suspicious thing to redact when you think about it. Oh yeah, this report had these guys dead to rights and probably felt a little something like Kendrick Lamar getting to sing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. Do you remember that? Holy shit, the feeling of winning a beef that hard, incredible. Anyway, they put a ton of work into this report, and it was finally getting its proverbial day in court. They got the Senate Budget Committee together along with a bipartisan mix of experts to go over the report, and they even got Senator Chuck Grassley there, who is so old it looks like he been a vampire. Yes, got him. The people are assembled. It's time to rock. And then it's Senator Kennedy's turn to talk, and things take a little twist. He doesn't want to talk about the report or oil disinformation or oil companies at all. He wants to talk about carbon emissions from forest fires.
Are you familiar with what's called a boreal forest? Millions of acres burn there naturally every year, but obviously forest fires produce carbon.
Okay, so immediately we're veering away from oil and gas company misconduct and into is climate change even real territory, but I guess let's see where he's going with this.
And I was reading a study this weekend. I want to get my facts straight here. They said the carbon released by these naturally occurring forest fires in boreal forests, nobody lives there. Let's see. Wildfires in the boreal forests in North America and Eurasia in 1 year, 2021, released double the amount of all global CO2 produced in 2001.
Whoa, okay, that is a crazy stat. It's also not even close. First of all, I think he's messing up 2021 and 2001, which is fine, people make mistakes, but in 2021, the boreal fires emitted about half a gigaton of CO2 compared to humanity's 36.3 gigatons. So they weren't so much twice as much carbon dioxide as they were 75 times smaller, which, is so super wrong that it almost makes you forget that the sentence right before that was,
I want to get my facts straight here.
It's also a pretty disingenuous argument because he's cherry-picking 2021 because there were record-breaking boreal fires that he insists were naturally occurring.
Burn there naturally occurring forest fires, naturally occurring boreal forest fires.
But of course, if you looked at the actual study for the boreal forest fires in 2021, you'd see this line. The hotter and drier fire seasons in boreal regions, likely due to human-driven climate change, increase the flammability of vegetation biomass.
We're making it more flammable.
And lightning ignition efficiency.
Now, unless you're the reason that your parents drink, that doesn't make sense, does it?
Now, is it ironic that this hearing is supposed to be about how big oil sidetracks discussions through climate disinformation, and Senator Kennedy is sidetracking that discussion through climate disinformation? Yes, of course that's ironic, but it gets so much worse, because now we get to the expert witness part of the hearing, and the wheels fall off. One of the expert witnesses is Dr. Jeffrey Subrin, a guy whose resume was created in a lab to impress your parents. He went to Cambridge, got a PhD from MIT, and then did a postdoc fellowship at Harvard. The dude is not fucking around, okay? He is an expert in climate disinformation, and he has dedicated his career to investigating the impact of big oil on the public's understanding of climate change.
From late 1980s onwards, oil companies and their trade associations, abetted by front groups as well as PR consulting and law firms, have waged a multi-decade, multi-billion-dollar campaign of disinformation, lobbying, propaganda, and the colonization of academia to sabotage science, scare and confuse the public and politicians, and undermine climate and clean energy policies. As a scholar of disinformation, I do not use the word lie lightly, but no other word adequately describes the oil industry's brazen efforts to mislead the public about its history of misleading the public.
But when it was Kennedy's turn to ask Subrin about his testimony, instead of talking about any of that, he hit Subrin with this.
Dr. Subrin, on December 14, 2023, you tweeted in support of climate defiance. That's an entity that the Brookings Institute has called a radical climate change group. Is that correct?
I don't recall, I'm afraid.
Okay, would this be the same climate defiance that I'm looking at your tweet, you tweeted and supported them. Would this be the same climate defiance that called Senator Joe Biden, quote, a sick fuck?
I don't know, but as I
would this be the same climate defiance that called Senator Lisa Murkowski?
This is all relevant, I can tell.
A murderer?
I do not know. As I said in my statement,
would this be the same climate defiance who told the CEO of Exxon to, quote, eat shit, Darren, close quote?
Okay, remember, this is a hearing on oil and gas company malfeasance.
That's pretty hardcore. Eat shit, Darren.
And Senator Kennedy has printed out Dr. Supran's Twitter feed to insinuate that Supran is some kind of radical climate activist. And just to say it, climate defiance is not some kind of eco-terrorist group blowing up bridges. They're these guys.
I am Andrew Cuomo. Okay. I am the real Andrew Cuomo. If you are an oil exec, I will support you no matter what. I do not take no for an answer, ever.
And also, Dr. Supran's not part of the group.
Eat shit, Darren would probably be like, yeah, that is them. 100% that's them. I remember that tweet.
He retweeted one climate defiance tweet one time. Dr. Supran is a researcher who studies big oil. Yet Kennedy's entire line of questioning is him reading climate defiance tweets at Supran, a man who has never seen some of those tweets before, in an attempt to paint Supran as some kind of climate psyop.
I'm not responsible for the statements of other people. And I also don't know that is not my tweet, sir.
And Kennedy does this until his time expires. Not a single question about the thing we're here to talk about. Supran tries to clarify that this was a retweet, and then we get this little final moment.
I did not say that I don't support this. I simply did not tweet it, which, as you were alleging, I'd like to make very clear that this form of character assassination is characteristic of the propaganda techniques.
You retweeted
Senator Merkley,
didn't you?
thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
It's Senator Merkley's time.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck? Are you gonna call me a sick fuck? Are you gonna call me a sick fuck? Interesting. Now, at first glance, it might seem like a 72-year-old man shouting, "Are you gonna call me a sick fuck?" at a witness on the floor of the Senate might seem a little stupid. But in order to understand how devious this little outburst actually was, we've got to learn a little bit more about John Kennedy.
And that'll be the only thing the fucking Republicans take away is look how Kennedy fucking owned him, dude. Look at it.
And the first thing we'll notice is that you don't have to dig to find this clip. You can actually watch it over on Senator Kennedy's YouTube channel, where his team clips out his wackiest takedowns and puts them all online.
You tweeted, both Texas and Louisiana have their knives out for black immigrants.
Guessing the context, but my suspicion is it has to do the Attorney General Ken Paxton and the Attorney General of Louisiana.
You don't have a name, do you?
I just said Ken Paxton.
You don't have a name, do you? You just said it. You need to stop dipping into your ketamine stash. I'm going to read you one of your tweets. Gag me with a spoon. Do you think Senator Gillibrand is a crook?
No, and I do not think all politicians are crooks. And
why did you call her a crook?
I did not call her a crook. Now, Senator, you need to focus on this bill.
Like
you're doing this again. You did it last year.
You're a whack job.
Senator,
what planet did you just parachute from?
No. Hey, guys.
You trigger my gag reflex.
So we got a process here, and it's good to know you don't have an agenda.
Yep, reading tweets at Supran was not Kennedy's first rodeo. It's actually one of his favorite ways to clip farm for subscribers and followers. He'll dig up some old tweets, and no matter how irrelevant to the task at hand, he'll hit you with some gotcha questions and post the results for views. And if his 5 million followers across his social media platforms are any indication, I'd say he's pretty fucking successful at it. But Kennedy isn't just some dude standing outside a bar trying to trick drunk girls into saying something embarrassing. Congressional witnesses
I saw fucking dumbass Tim Burchett makes skateboards and sells them now.
Which Kennedy very well knows. That means he can hit them with a retweet from years ago.
On June 8, 2020, you tweeted, "The war on drugs was intentionally created to incarcerate black people en masse."
I don't remember typing that.
You don't?
No.
It's on your Twitter feed.
Maybe a retweet.
And if they can't remember it or if they get something wrong, that could constitute lying to Congress, which is not only frowned upon, it's a felony. Now, obviously, if you're in the administration, it's totally fine.
There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
That's right, swing for the fences, no wrong answers. But Kennedy is doing this to regular people who almost immediately start questioning everything about their lives because, I don't know, maybe I did tweet that and I don't want to go to prison. So they almost automatically appear confused or shady or weird. And lo and behold, Senator Kennedy's social media team has something new to post for the engagement. Mix in a couple of Kennedy's famous one-liners that he's always coming up with. They're so good.
He's nervous as a pregnant nun.
And you've got yourself a viral moment. And you don't have to take my word for it. Take it away, possessed American Girl doll from the Forbes YouTube channel.
As many viewers on this channel know, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy often is cause for viral moments and highly viewed videos. The often humorous Republican who sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee has posted multiple moments that have exceeded 500,000 views on this channel.
Now that's the kind of hard-hitting journalism you can always expect from Forbes.com. But the more I looked into Kennedy's often humorous one-liners, the more I realized that a lot of his jokes were actually just other people's jokes that he had memorized and then regurgitated. Like this.
I don't eat kale. You know why? Because kale tastes to me like I'd rather be fat.
Oh, nice. I love that joke. I also loved it 4 years before that when this dude tweeted it, and I also loved it 10 years ago when it was already so old it was a fridge magnet joke. But don't worry, there's more.
I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle. Unless you're the reason that your parents drank, you see that it was a big victory. My mama did not raise a fool, and if she did, it was one of my brothers. The brain is an amazing organ. It starts working in a mother's womb, and it doesn't stop working until you get elected to Congress.
Yep, I mean, that one's a meme, that one's from a t-shirt, that's a bumper sticker joke, and that one's from a famous American poet who died more than 60 years ago. I also took a look at Kennedy's best-selling book, How to Test Negative for Stupid and Why Washington Never Will.
I mean, the title's hysterical. The title's just fantastic. How to Test Negative for Stupid.
You just can't stop this guy. And in the first 2 pages, there are 9 jokes, which is a pretty great ratio, until you realize that every single one was lifted from somebody else. And I'm not joking, it's every single one. Most notably,
for as long as I can remember, one thing has been true about me. I have the right to remain silent, but not the ability.
And that's pretty good. But if it sounds familiar, here's comedian Ron White from the Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
I had the right to remain silent, but I didn't have the ability.
Kennedy probably would have titled his book that if Ron White hadn't already done it 20 years ago.
Seemed to be a pattern.
And the more we looked into it, the more it seemed like Kennedy was just kind of memorizing Southern-sounding jokes so we could drop them into his speeches to sound more folksy. But I mean, he is folksy, right? I mean, there aren't people out here who think he's maybe faking his accent, are there? Well, let me play you a couple of clips. Here's what he sounds like today.
I will not let you down. I'd rather drink weed killer.
And here's a clip from when he was Louisiana State Treasurer.
Well, we have another program here at Treasury that we're very proud of that we think can help a lot of Louisianians.
Whoa, different! And now if you listen to this clip from 2004 when John Kennedy was running for Senate, you might notice another thing that's changed.
I'm very proud of my record on civil rights. I have appointed women and minorities to positions of authority.
Yeah, in 2004, Kennedy was running as a Democrat, which might explain why he said things like,
I will not support tax cuts for the top 1% of Americans, and I want an America and Louisiana whose citizens understand that everybody counts, and I'm a Democrat.
And Kennedy lost that election in a landslide to a Republican. But don't you worry, folks, because Kennedy just switched parties a few years later, so when Trump won Louisiana by 20 points in 2016, Kennedy suddenly had a really good election strategy.
I believe in more freedom. My opponent in this race believes in more free stuff, and he wants you to pay for it. And I want you to extend a warm, down-home Louisiana welcome to my president-elect, Donald J. Trump.
Awesome! And according to a mass communication professor from Louisiana State University, before he got to the Senate,
another Republican endorsing John Ossoff
pretended to be a hit. After he got to the Senate and realized that Fox News and its viewers enjoyed his shtick, he went all in on this new persona.
You can write that down and take it home to mama.
Now, maybe he really does have a natural foghorn leghorn accent.
Who's responsible for this unwarranted attack on my person?
Maybe. But it's just very hard for me to reconcile this whole, like, I'm a regular guy just like you angle with the fact that he is a very wealthy, Oxford-educated lawyer with a meandering accent who has found incredible success adopting the Republican Party and pandering to a conservative audience with regurgitated bumper sticker jokes and gotcha questions under oath. So allow me to present an alternate hypothesis for why Senator John Kennedy is shouting,
"Are you going to call me a sick fuck?"
at an expert in climate disinformation rather than engaging with the actual material. I mean, it's a great way to get clicks, but even more than that, it's a great way to discredit Dr. Superman. I mean, if he's some kind of radical communist, well, we can't very well listen to what he has to say about big oil. I mean, he's got an agenda. But while we're, talking about agendas, John Kennedy is not just a random senator. He's the senator for the great state of Louisiana, which has historically been a massive oil and gas state.
If Louisiana was a country, we'd be #1 in the world in LNG exports.
Now that is a real accent. Not saying Kennedy's isn't. I'm saying that one definitely is. Also, according to Open Secrets, oil and gas companies contributed $1.7 million to Senator Kennedy, putting him in the top 20 for senators over the past 3 decades. Even former Exxon lobbyist Keith McCoy called Senator Kennedy out by name as someone they knew they could work with in Congress.
2022 class is focused on re-election, so I know I have them. Those are the Marco Rubios. Those are the Senator Kennedys. You can have those conversations with them because they're a captive audience.
So all that brings us back to this hearing. Of all the times Kennedy pulled this exact same retweet surprise, why are we focusing on this time for the video? Well, it turns out that this hearing is actually pretty important because a bunch of states are in the process of suing major oil players like Exxon, Chevron.
As they should be. We've been lied to. Like, they'll tell us one thing to our face or use a PR group or a lobby group or this, that, and the other, and internally, they're lying. Like, they're saying the exact opposite. There's no way we could reach these goals. Like, we would lose assets and lose money.
Chevron, Koch Industries, the American Petroleum Institute, and more from misleading the public on their role in climate change. And my God, you better believe...
And places like, disgusting places like the American Petroleum Institute are just a fucking shell to pump big oil while pretending like they're making these changes and they're a scientific institute. They're not.
They don't want that to happen. I mean, no company wants to get sued, but in this case, even if any of those lawsuits go to trial could be catastrophic for big oil because those trials will involve something called discovery. Discovery is part of the pretrial proceedings where both sides go out and gather up the evidence they'll use during the trial. And for these particular lawsuits about whether big oil misled the public about climate change, discovery will probably involve depositions with former employees who might not be able to talk because they're under NDAs, and also the court forcing oil companies to turn over a ton of internal documents. Now, you may remember when the United States Congress tried to get them to turn over documents, and they pulled this little move.
I'm going to keep this Max Miller video up for tomorrow.
I mean, technically, you're not allowed to defy their orders, but they let you do a little defying if they like you. But when a U.S. Now, apparently, that'll work in Congress. I mean, technically, you're not allowed to defy their orders, but they let you do a little defying if they like you. But when a U.S. court subpoenas documents, you are legally compelled to comply. And that means actually legally compelled. This is basically what happened to the tobacco companies in the 90s. A whole bunch of states sued the tobacco companies, and Discovery forced them to turn over thousands of documents, including one from 1985 that showed that R.J. Reynolds destroyed records and suppressed research about the toxic effects of smoking. The company initially fought to keep that document private under attorney-client privilege until the Minnesota judge ruled against them. These cases led to Big Tobacco being held liable under a thing called the Master Settlement Agreement. And as you can probably imagine, it was devastating to the tobacco industry. And that might explain why if you look at Jeffrey Supran in this hearing, and then you look a little bit to his left, you see an empty chair. But then if you look even more to the left, you see a different, much closer chair, but a little more to the left. And what's that? A shoulder? Well, that shoulder belongs to this woman. Her name is Sharon Eubanks, and she's the former director of the tobacco litigation team for the United States Department of Justice.
Both industries lied to the public and regulators about what they knew about the harms of their products and when they knew it. The deceptive advertising and the PR of the fossil fuel industry is now under intense legal scrutiny.
Who was talking about, hardly anybody was talking about climate change in the fucking 70s, and the gas companies had already done the research and knew.
More than 1,800 lawsuits have been filed regarding climate liability worldwide. Many of these cases concern the misleading fake science that the industry purposefully distributed to the public for decades.
But luckily for big oil, the U.S. government looks a little different these days.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
After some lobbying from the oil companies, the Trump administration is actively trying to prevent these lawsuits from going forward. In early May, the Trump DOJ filed its own lawsuit to stop a Minnesota case, which was on track to begin discovery after the Minnesota Supreme Court upheld the suit. That same Justice Department filed similar lawsuits in Hawaii and Michigan, also designed to stop these state-level cases. I think we actually have a clip of the Trump DOJ here.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, f my life. And to top it all off, Republicans have now introduced federal legislation that would give big oil full legal immunity from any lawsuits and the discovery process that goes along with it.
Of course they would.
By stand-up comedian John Kennedy's #1 fan, Ted Cruz, to prohibit liability against those engaged in the mining, extraction, production, refinement, transportation, distribution, marketing, manufacture, or sale of energy for damages or injunctive or other relief from the use of their property.
Why? Why would you give them sweeping immunity from their liability? It's insane.
And for other purposes. So here we are, with some lawmakers arguing, yeah, maybe we should give open-ended absolute immunity to the biggest oil companies in the world, while also we get this in the Senate.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
So what are we going to do about it? Well, this is mostly playing out in the courts and apparently the highest levels of government, but if you want to learn more about this and maybe even get involved, you can visit the website No Immunity.
Oh, I did see that Donald Trump missed his deadline. The administration missed their deadline to appeal the birthright citizenship.
For bigoil.com, where you can join the petition and a bunch of other
So they're not appealing it.
Check it out, link in the description. But if you want to support Senator Kennedy, there are a ton of old t-shirts and knickknacks with some of his best jokes on them, and you can buy them so they're part of your life too. I'm not going to tell you what to buy, there are truly too many options, but you can just Google what he says and usually find something for less than $10. Like this mug from the time he said this.
Even duct tape can't fix stupid.
And we can all look forward to the day when Kennedy or one of his staffers finds this Reddit post with one of my favorite old sayings, because I would love to hear Kennedy cover this. That skier was so big, he could stand flat-footed and fuck a turkey. Now that, my friends, is one big mosquito. And that's the end of the episode.
I've actually heard that one before.
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And thank you to the Center for Climate Integrity and to Amy Westervelt for their research help and expertise on this episode. If you like what you saw and you want to support us, the best way to do that is through our Patreon page. And I'm going to animate a little Patreon like that because I really want to emphasize it. Patreon is critical to this channel. It is the backbone of Climate Town, and you can be part of it, my friend. Maybe like a vertebrae or some of that gross spinal fluid. What is that doing? Just lubricating the spine? I don't know. You can be it though, brother. We also give you access to behind-the-scenes videos, monthly town halls, the phone number for the Climate Town landline. That's a real phone.
I like the Climate Town channel.
Even access to discounted tickets for our live shows. Kind of like the one we're doing on September 21st in Brooklyn at the Bell House. That's right. We got a live show featuring the aforementioned Amy Westervelt. It's going to be a great time, and tickets are already online right now. Ticket link in the description. It's going to be magma hot, and you can even get a discounted ticket to it if you join our Patreon. And then you can quit Patreon and make money on the deal. It's insane that I'm telling you to do this, but I've begun this riff before, and I haven't thought this out, so I guess we're going to keep it in. But thank you for watching this video. We couldn't do it without you. Okay.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I have not tried marijuana. I have never used it at any time.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck? You're going to call me a sick fuck in my Senate? I'm not a sick fuck. You're a sick fuck. You're calling me a sick fuck? That's sick fuck behavior, you sick fuck. You're trying to sick fuck me? Sick fuck you, man. Sick fuck you, dude. I'm not going down to be a sick fuck. You're the sick fuck. It takes one to know one, and I know you're one sick fuck, brother.
Did you hear that, Mom? All right, guys.
Goodbye.
It's 1:30 here. I got to go lube up, eat some more steroids, and go to bed. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Listen to me, bitch. I guess complain. Hopefully, I'm getting better. We get rid of this fucking poison ivy shit. It's driving me crazy. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you around the next one. Have a good night. Support the show. It's first of the month. Bills are due. We'll see you on the next one. Good night.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believers? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Opened his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby studio and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Wait. Stop. What? What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Give me oh my God. Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
Good night, guys.
It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit.